My child, I need your full attention, because by the time you finish this message, everything will change. This is a moment I orchestrated to confront the part of you that still believes you have time to delay. You don't. What's been circling in your spirit, what's been pressing against your chest at night, this is that moment. A shift. A line in the sand. The reason I titled this, "Give Me a Moment," it's already too late for you. Because it is. Too late to hide. Too late to pretend. Too late to keep living like nothing is sacred. So listen, not casually, but like your future is being dictated word by word. Stay until the very last second, because by the end, I will hold you accountable for what you now know. My beloved child, sit still and listen. I have not come to scold you, but to reach into the deepest chambers of your soul where even your own voice has grown silent. I have come, not with wrath, but with a trembling urgency that burns through time itself. For so long I reached for you. Yes, I did. I stretched my hand through your cluttered days, through your restless nights, through the busy, anxious rhythm that kept your heart too loud to hear mine. I whispered while you scrolled. I stirred your spirit while you silenced it with distractions dressed as responsibility. Even as the world screamed for your attention, I came with stillness, not to be ignored, but to be chosen. And though you may not admit it aloud, you felt me. In the pauses between conversations, in the hollowness of laughter that never truly reached your core, I was there, waiting, watching, longing for a single moment of undivided attention. Not because I needed your praise, but because you needed my presence more than you realized. But hear me now. Something has shifted. The atmosphere around you is not the same. The hour has turned, and what once could wait must now confront. I am not the one who grows impatient, but I am the one who moves by divine appointment. And this moment, this very breath, is not another open-ended offer. It is the edge of what could have been. While you danced at the borders of surrender, time did not freeze. Heaven continued moving. Destinies continued unfolding. And child, though I stood with mercy in my eyes, I also stood with a clock in my hand. You see, the calling I placed over your life was not meant to be optional. It was meant to be urgent. But you treated it like a background sound, something you could pause or mute. I lingered through seasons, sent messengers in flesh and spirit, gave you dreams that broke your sleep, and moments of divine discomfort meant to wake you. But you kept saying, "Not now," as if the divine waits forever on human convenience. And now, beloved, the window has moved. Not out of cruelty, but because timing in my kingdom is sacred. I don't operate by your clock. I operate by alignment, and this moment is no longer where it once was. What's stirring in your chest right now, that sudden ache, that sting of realization, that rush of what did I miss, is not shame. It is awakening. Let it rise. Let it burn through the excuses you've rehearsed. I am not here to remind you of your failure. I am here to reveal the weight of what almost became your future. My heart is still full of longing for you, but it cannot deny what has shifted in the heavens. There are assignments now reassigned. There are doors that were once yours, now opening for another. Not because I love them more, but because they answered when you hesitated. They moved when you paused. They bowed when you bargained. You see now. I wasn't just inviting you into blessing, I was inviting you into battle, into purpose, into a moment that would not come again in the same form. And while my love is unchanging, my timing is not to be mocked. What has shifted was not punishment, it was movement. And the movement is holy. So now I ask you, Will you still give me a moment? Not to reclaim what has passed, but to recognize what must change in you. The path before you isn't the one I first laid out, but it is not absent of glory. It is not devoid of redemption, but it begins with honesty, with a reckoning, with a weight of understanding that the moment you thought you had tomorrow for has already become yesterday. You didn't feel it when it left because you were still looking down. But now, child, now you must lift your eyes. For only in truth can your next yes matter. And I, your God, am still speaking. I haven't turned away. But I will not pretend the moment hasn't shifted. I want your attention now, not to fix what's past, but to begin again with reverence. And beginning again must start with a heart that admits, I heard you and I waited too long. You whispered later like a lullaby to silence conviction. Later, you said with trembling lips and tired eyes. Later, as if I, the God who authors time, was subject to your schedule. I watched you push me aside with polite excuses wrapped in busyness. I watched you silence your spirit with scrolls, shows, and shallow distractions that could never fill the aching hollow within you. And all the while, I waited, not in weakness, but in long-suffering love. I was never far. I hovered over your shoulder when the light in your eyes dimmed behind forced smiles. I stood at the door of your heart when your soul screamed in silence, hoping someone, anyone, would notice the weight you were carrying. But instead of turning to me, you kept postponing the moment. You told yourself you needed just one more day, one more distraction, one more dose of control before surrender. You convinced yourself that tomorrow would be better, that tomorrow you would pray, tomorrow you would repent, tomorrow you would obey. But child, tomorrow was never promised. And today, that later you leaned on like a crutch has vanished like vapor in the wind. I know this is hard to hear. I know the flesh recoils when truth confronts comfort. But I would rather wound you with reality than let you wander toward ruin wrapped in fantasy. Because this not now didn't just delay your destiny, it diluted it. It robbed you of divine alignment. While you waited for convenience, heaven was mobilizing for convergence. And when the appointed hour arrived, your seat at the table was empty. I wasn't angry, I was grieving. The feast was prepared. The oil was poured. The angels leaned in, waiting your yes. But your not now rang louder than your calling. And now, that sacred moment has passed, not out of spite, but because divine windows do not remain open to indecision. You must understand, delay is not neutral. Delay speaks. Delay shifts outcomes. Delay becomes a thief dressed in rationale. And while you reasoned your postponement with logic, the enemy celebrated in silence. Because he doesn't need to steal your crown if he can convince you to ignore the door. He doesn't need to break you, just busy you. He doesn't need to fight you, just flatter you into slumber. And child, that's exactly what happened. While you said not now, he whispered you're fine. While you said I'll come back to this, he muttered God understands. And yes, I do understand. I understand better than you know. I understand how deeply I designed you for more. I understand how the enemy was terrified of your obedience. I understand what could have happened had you answered when I called. That's why my heart mourns what you cannot even see yet, because I saw the ripple effect of your yes. I saw the generations that could have shifted, the doors that could have opened, the freedom that could have exploded through your bloodline. But not now silenced it all. Yet even in this moment, as heavy as this truth may be, I am still speaking. Why? Because I'm not just the God of what was miss. I am the God of mercy that makes meaning from rubble. I'm not erasing what passed. But I am inviting you to finally respond with a different posture. Not the posture of entitlement, expecting everything to look the same, but the posture of surrender, willing to let me write something holy with what's left. That later is gone. But now, this sacred, fragile, trembling now, is still pulsing with the possibility of redemption. Not resurrection of what has passed, but rebirth of what could be built from the ashes. You won't get back the exact moment you missed, but you can still become the one who never misses again. So will you keep waiting? Or will you wake up? Will you keep saying later while heaven weeps? Or will you say yes before this moment slips too? This is not a call to guilt. It's a call to gravity. You feel it, don't you? The holy weight in these words. That's not emotion. That's eternity knocking louder than your denial. And I, your Father, your Creator, your King, am asking you plainly, when will now finally be now? You said in the silence, where did you go? You've looked around at the chaos and asked, God, have you left me? But child, hear me. I didn't move. I didn't turn my face. I didn't grow tired of you. I waited. I stood still in the shadows of your life, holding my breath while you flirted with distraction and danced with delay. I waited like a bridegroom watching his beloved forget the wedding was today. I stood with a ring in my hand and the vow on my tongue. I stood with angels prepared and assignments poised, hoping you would notice the stillness was not absence, it was mercy. I held back consequences. I delayed disruption. I allowed space for your wandering, believing that even your detours could become deliverance if you turned in time. But that time, child, that time has run thin. Mercy is not infinite because mercy is purposeful. It is targeted, intentional, surgical in its timing. I poured it out over you again and again like rain on groven ground. And every drop cried, return. Come back. Look up. You felt those drops. You just didn't understand their language. That strange unease. That sudden wave of clarity in the middle of compromise. The ache in your chest when you tried to quiet your conscience. That was mercy calling. Mercy stretching. Mercy making room. And I, your God, did not abandon you in those moments. I surrounded you. I sang over you with songs no one else could hear. But mercy, beloved, does not wait forever. It is a door, not a wall. It opens wide for a season, but it does close. Not because I am cruel, but because love demands decision. Do you know what mercy feels like at its end? It feels like silence, but it's not. It's the shifting of seasons. It's the moment when protection lifts, not to punish you, but to let you feel what your choices have shielded you from all this time. It's not wrath. It's the removal of resistance. I'm not striking you down. I'm stepping aside to let the reality of your delay meet you face to face. And though it may feel harsh, it is still love. Because a love that never confronts is a love that never transforms. I am not cursing you. I am revealing you to yourself. Because you must see the edge to finally choose the center. You must feel the cliff to understand the cost. Even now, I hold no resentment. I hold no bitterness in my tone. Only a fierce longing. The holy ache. Because mercy wasn't just about sparing you from harm. It was about ushering you into holiness. Into wholeness. Into the purpose that trembles under the weight of your hesitation. And while this edge may seem final, it is not fatal. It is still formative, if you let it be. But you must come now. Not as a consumer of comfort, but as a carrier of covenant. You've come to the edge, child. Not because I've stopped loving you, but because I love you too much to let you live unaware that time moves whether you do or not. So stand here with me a while. Let the edge sober you. Let the silence humble you. And let this final mercy break the shell that pride built around your heart. I waited for you when others walked away. I waited when your own faith wavered. I waited when your love grew cold. But this waiting has become a witness. And now I am moving, not away from you, but toward what must unfold. Will you follow? Will you finally say yes? Not to what you once imagined, but to what I still hold in my hands. You've lived like time belonged to you, as if the ticking of the clock bowed at your will. You moved as if grace would always cushion your hesitation, as if tomorrow could be bartered like spare change. But I need you to understand something, beloved. Time is not your possession. Time is my servant. I do not consult the calendars of men to orchestrate destiny. I do not wait for your comfort to activate my promises. I am the one who carved a time with my voice. I breathed "let there be" and seconds were born. I whispered "it is finished" and eternity unfolded. So when I say that time is now, I am not suggesting it. I am declaring it. I'm not hoping you're ready. I'm commanding the moment to arrive because I see what you don't. I see what circles overhead, what demons tremble in the shadows, what promises are hanging by threads of obedience. I see the trap the enemy set. I see the war that has been scheduled in secret. And that is why I cannot wait any longer for you to decide if I'm worth your full yes. You thought you had forever. You assumed you could wander through distractions and dabble in compromise and still arrive on time. But child, that is not how I work. I am not moved by your convenience. I am moved by divine convergence, by the timing of heaven and earth colliding in supernatural alignment. And that alignment does not wait for half-hearted hearts or second-guessing souls. There is a now that has arrived, and it is fierce. It is fast. It is fire. You can feel it in your bones, can't you? That pressure, that stirring, that sudden awareness that something has shifted in your atmosphere. That is not panic. That is prophecy being activated without your permission. I am moving now, and you must either move with me or risk being out of sync with the very story I wrote for you before the foundation of the world. I am calling it. The delay is dismissed. The waiting is over. The time is now. And listen carefully, this now is not fragile. It is forceful. It comes with trumpet blasts in the spirit. It comes with angelic marching orders and divine decrees that override every human schedule. This is the kind of moment that flips tables in temples and overturns what man called normal. This is where I step into your reality and say, no more waiting. No more wondering. No more wasting. I'm not here to persuade you. I'm here to present you with truth that breaks illusions. You don't own the hour. You don't hold the keys to delay. You don't determine the weight of time. I do. And I say to you now, this moment carries eternal consequence. This is not another sermon. Not another sweet word for comfort. This is a summons from the throne. A call that echoes across dimensions. A line drawn in the sand of your life. And I ask you, child, will you cross it? Or will you continue pretending time obeys your indecision? This moment is already sealed. The scroll is opening. What has been held back is now being released with velocity. Do not think you can slow the wind of my spirit to fit your schedule. I am the wind, and I will blow where I will. But I blow toward those whose hearts are bowed. I move for those who understand the weight of now. And so, if you feel the urgency, if you sense the holy fire rising within you, don't ignore it. Don't analyze it. Don't run from it. It is me. I am calling time. and time is obeying me. Will you? You kept asking for a sign, child, begging me to write it in the sky, to shout it from the heavens, to break through your day with thunder. But I was never fire. I was never silent. I have been signaling you with the language of the Spirit, and you missed it. The restlessness that stirred in your chest when everything around you said peace, that was not anxiety. That was my spirit wrestling with your comfort. The sudden roadblocks, the plans that unraveled without explanation, the people who walked away when you thought they'd stay, those weren't coincidences. They were signs, divine signals, wake-up calls wrapped in discomfort. You prayed for guidance, and then ignored the very guideposts I placed in your path. I spoke, not with the shout of storms, but with the subtleties of shift. And still, you treated it like background noise. You see, I don't always come in fire and fury. Sometimes I come in the broken schedule, the missed opportunity, the tension you couldn't explain, that ache, that pull in your spirit that something was off. That was me tugging on your discernment, begging you to look deeper, to pause, to ask me what was happening beneath the surface. But you pushed past it. You buried it under activity, under noise, under logic. You told yourself it's nothing, when in reality, it was everything. You brush aside what you call distraction, but I call it divine disruption. At unease you tried to sleep off. That conversation that left you unsettled. That door that refused to open no matter how hard you knocked. I within all of it. Not to confuse you, but to awaken you. Because I will not force you. I will not drag you into your destiny. I will invite. I will disrupt. I will stir. But if you continually silence those signals, they will stop sounding. And then you'll wonder, where did God go? When I've been speaking all along in whispers you ignored. I use spiritual sonar, not spiritual shouting. I work in the quiet quake before the explosion. I move in the breath before the breakthrough. But you were listening for thunder and missed the trembling. You were watching for a burning bush and missed the brush of my robe against your routine. And child, that matters. Because when I send signs, they are time-sensitive. They are precise. They are heaven's punctuation marks in your narrative. And when you skip over them, you miss the moment they were meant to unlock. Yet here's what you need to know. I don't reveal signs for entertainment. I reveal them to prepare, to protect, to preserve. Every unrecognized nudge was a seed of mercy. Every dismissed stirring was an angelic warning. And now, as you read these words, I am stirring again. Can you feel it? That weight in your chest, that knowing in your gut, that divine discomfort pressing through your ribs, that is me. I'm giving you another signal. Not because I must, but because I choose to. Because I still believe you will respond. But let me be clear. This is not just another impression. This is a flashing sign, a final signal, a divine blinking light in the dark corners of your comfort. Will you see it now? Will you recognize that what feels off is actually what's holy? That what disrupts your rhythm might be the rescue you've been praying for? I'm speaking not in thunder, but in truth. And the sign is already here. It's me. I'm the sign, the moment, a voice, the urgency, the invitation. I never needed thunder to make my presence known. I have always preferred the hush of holiness, the soft tap of divinity on the door of your distracted heart. And yes, child, I knocked. I knocked when the world was asleep and your room was still. I knocked not with clenched fists, but with nail-scarred hands, pressing gently against your spirit, hoping you'd pause long enough to perceive the sacred silence. I came while your eyes fluttered in restless sleep. I entered your dreams with imagery soaked in symbolism, with messages wrapped in mystery, not to confuse you, but to reach past your filters and enter where your defenses were down. But you didn't linger there. You dismissed what felt too abstract. You awoke and reached for your phone instead of your journal. You told yourself it was just a dream, but beloved, it was me. I chose the night because the noise of your day had grown too loud. I chose stillness because you had given your attention to everything but me. I waited until your body was weary, your emotions drained, your thoughts too exhausted to argue. And that is where I whispered, not because I lacked volume, but because I was searching for intimacy. I didn't want to compete with the chaos. I wanted communion in the quiet. Do you remember that night when you woke up at 3:17 a.m. for no reason? That wasn't random. That was revelation waiting. That was a spiritual summons disguised as a sleep interruption. The number meant something. The timing was intentional. But you rolled over, unaware that eternity was leaning in. I wasn't trying to disturb your rest. I was trying to deliver your rescue. You thought your fatigue was physical. But the tiredness you felt wasn't just your body. It was your soul craving encounter. And those dreams, the ones that came in flashes, vivid but fleeting, meaningful but fleeting, that was me piercing through the veil. I gave you blueprints while you slept. I handed you warnings and metaphors. I sent angels into your dreamscape, not as figments of imagination, but as messengers of mercy. But you didn't write them down. You didn't sit with them. You brushed them off like sleep residue. And child, I say this not to shame, but to stir you. Those dreams were not decorations. They were directions. You prayed for me to speak. I did. But you were listening only for the dramatic. You asked for signs. I sent dreams. You begged for breakthrough. I delivered instruction in your sleep. But you didn't treasure it, so you didn't track it. And now, I must speak more directly, because the days ahead demand discernment, not distraction. I'm still speaking, even now. But I must speak louder, not because I've changed, but because your soul hath been tuned to other frequencies. I am not asking for your perfection. I am asking for your attention. I still knock. I still whisper. I still dream into your darkness. But child, please don't miss it this time. Sit with the strange. Dwell in the still. Lean into the language of the Spirit. Because what I speak in dreams today is what you will need to stand in daylight tomorrow. I do not waste words, and I do not knock forever without an answer. Will you open the door this time? Will you rise when I call? Will you recognize that what you dismissed as sleep was actually sacred strategy? You saw silence and assumed I didn't care. You felt delay and believed I had distanced myself. But child, what you misunderstood as disinterest was actually deep, divine intervention. The waiting room you despised was actually a war zone I was protecting you from. The stillness you called stagnation was sacred shielding. I wasn't ignoring you. I was interceding for you. I wasn't postponing your promise, I was preventing your pain. You thought nothing was happening, but heaven was moving at full speed behind the veil. While you fidgeted in frustration, I was fortifying your future. Every delayed door was me saying, not yet, not there, not with them. Because what waited on the other side was dressed in opportunity but soaked in compromise. I delayed what would have devoured. I paused what would have poisoned. But now, child, now we've crossed into a different moment. Now, you've grown impatient with divine delay, and you've begun opening doors I never told you to touch. You've walked past the perimeter I placed to protect you. You ignored the gut checks. You silenced the unease. You labeled my weight as neglect, and so you made your own way. And in doing so, you stepped outside the circle of covering I built for you. And I need you to hear this with clarity, not condemnation. I do not bless what I did not build. I do not finance what I did not author. You are moving, yes, but without the oil. And child, movement without anointing is momentum that leads to burnout. You are no longer shielded by divine delay. You are exposed by self-directed speed. Let me show you what you missed in your rush. I wasn't saying no to your desire. I was saying not now for your protection. Because had I given you what you asked for then, it would have crumbled under pressure. Had I connected you to the platform you prayed for, it would have crushed your character. Had I opened that relationship, that opportunity, that dream when you begged for it, it would have cost you more than you were ready to carry. I saw the hidden snares. I saw the smiling faces hiding sabotage. I saw the blessings dressed in burdens. I wasn't withholding, I was wisely weighing what your soul could sustain. But now, in your demand for immediacy, you've moved without permission. You stepped beyond the boundaries I set in love. And still I remain here, waiting. Not to scold, but to salvage. Because even now, even on the other side of the line, I'm still able to reroute if you return. But it won't be without cost. It won't be without change. You must stop believing delay is denial. You must stop thinking protection is punishment. I love you too much to speed up a process meant to secure your legacy. But I also love you too much to let you keep walking into traps thinking they're testimonies. Come back under covering. Come back under clarity. Let me delay what must be delayed to preserve what must be protected. Delay is not death. It is divine design. And now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? Silence is not the absence of me. It is often the presence of something greater than you were ready to comprehend. I know the ache that comes when heaven seems quiet. I know the torment of unanswered questions echoing in your heart like thunder in an empty canyon. You've cried, where are you? Not once, not twice, but too many nights to count. And I heard every cry. I caught every whisper. But child, you must understand, my silence was never abandonment. My silence was mercy. My silence was divine strategy. While you assumed I had walked away, I was stationed right at the threshold of your life, standing between you and the collapse that darkness had already planned. You didn't see it, but hell had scheduled an ambush. Demons had charted your downfall, orchestrated your shame, plotted your fall. But I stood there. I stood there like a gate that could not be forced open. I stood there with a sword drawn in the spirit. I stood between what the enemy built for your ruin and the fragile place you call progress. You didn't hear me because I wasn't speaking. I was shielding. You see, if I had spoken then, your ears would have misinterpreted it. You weren't ready to hear the weight of what was unfolding. You would have taken my warning as rejection, my protection as punishment. So I remained still, not absent, but strategic. I was holding back storms that would have wrecked the very roots I was trying to deepen. You were praying for clarity, but what you needed was cover. And that's what I gave you. I covered you in silence so I could preserve the story I was still writing in your unseen. Had I allowed the thing you begged for to come through, it would have devoured you. Yes, devoured. Not dented. Not delayed. Devoured. The promotion that looked promising was poisoned. The relationship that seemed divine was infected with compromise. The opportunity that sparkled so brightly in your eyes had shadows that would have swallowed your soul. So I stood there, silent, but strong. You couldn't see me, but the enemy did. That's why he's furious. Because everything he unleashed was met by my silence. Not a retreat. A response. A still, sovereign stand between his agenda and your assignment. I need you to look back now. Not with guilt, but with gratitude. Can you see it? That season that nearly broke you was actually the season I blocked what would have destroyed you. You didn't know how close you came to collapse. But I did. And I didn't just watch, I warred. I waged war in silence so you could grow in grace. I pushed back demons while you thought I was distant. You cried in a quiet room, thinking you were alone. But child, my robe was already draped across the doorway. My hand was already on the latch, saying, not this one. Not today. Not now. Not my child. You mistook my stillness for indifference. But the stillness was strategy. And now, as I speak, I need you to redefine what silence really means when it comes from me. It means I'm preparing. It means I'm protecting. It means I'm pausing destruction until the vessel is strong enough to carry instruction. So now I ask you, can you trust me in the next silence? Can you sit still not in fear but in faith? Can you believe that when I grow quiet, it is not because I've walked away, but because I'm walking the perimeter, guarding what you cannot yet handle, sealing what the enemy cannot steal? Don't despise the quiet anymore. Sanctify it, because I, your God, am often loudest in the moments when I say nothing. And if you listen with your spirit, not your ears, you'll hear the thunder of my protection in the stillness. I never left. I never chained you. I stood at the threshold, and because of that, you're still breathing today. I need you to hear me clearly now, beloved. What you are feeling is not my anger. It's the aftermath of avoidance. It's the echo of a door that once stood wide open, now slowly shutting. You thought the door would always remain, didn't you? That it would swing endlessly on the hinges of mercy and wait patiently for your pace to match my call. But that's not how my kingdom works. I am not a vending machine of grace. I am a God of seasons. And every divine door is pregnant with purpose and governed by time. When I open a door, I open it not just to bless you, but to align everything around you. I synchronize people, atmospheres, assignments, resources, even the wind. I don't just open doors, but I orchestrate moments. And when those moments arrive, they require movement. They demand recognition. They cry out for urgency. But you lingered. You watched. You waited. And now, what you're feeling is not punishment. It's the sound of what could have been closing behind you. I didn't slam it shut. I didn't rage in wrath. I simply allowed time to run its course. And now the hinges groan with finality, not because I'm finished with you, but because that specific chapter is finished. You cannot remain standing in a hallway where the opportunity has expired and expect me to reverse what was time-bound. I gave you nudges. I gave you confirmation. I sent people to prophecy. I stirred you with dreams. I flooded your spirit with holy unrest. But you delayed. You discussed instead of deciding. You contemplated instead of committing. And now the door that once stood glowing with possibility has returned to silence. But this silence is not stillness. It is sequence. I'm not stuck, child. I'm shifting. The door didn't close because I'm done. It closed because I'm moving forward. And if you remain staring at what's shut, you'll miss what's being built. You must understand this spiritual law. Not every door stays open. Some were only meant for your obedience in a particular hour. You assumed grace meant guarantee. You mistook access for permanence. but heaven operates with precision. There are kairos moments, windows that exist only in the appointed second. When they come, they must be seized. When they close, they are not easily reopened. And no, it's not because I am cruel. It's because I honor my design. I honor alignment. I honor the movement of my spirit. And I will not ask everything else to remain suspended just because you decided to delay. I must honor the ones who said yes when you said maybe. I must release what you wouldn't receive to those who stood ready. But even in that, I am not rejecting you. I am redirecting you. So what do you do now? You stop begging for the old door to open. You stop blaming me for the closing. And you start asking, Lord, where are you moving now? Because if you truly listen, you will find that even though one door has closed, my voice has not gone silent. I'm still speaking. I'm still calling. But the invitation has changed. The terrain is different. The scenery has shifted. You are no longer invited to walk through the same door, but you are still invited to walk with me. And where I go now, child, requires maturity. It requires eyes that don't just look for open doors, but ears that listen for my footsteps. I'm no longer handing out comfort. I'm releasing commissioning. I'm no longer waiting for your yes. I'm watching for your pursuit. You thought I was waiting for you to be better, to pray longer, to sin less, to clean up your life and come to me with a spotless resume of righteousness. But that's not what I ever asked for. I was never waiting for your perfection. I was waiting for your permission. I didn't ask for performance. I asked for surrender. You misunderstood the terms of my invitation. While you obsessed over being worthy, I was already at the door, holding gifts your hands never opened. I came ready. I came willing. I came near. But I cannot force my way into a heart that's still in negotiations. You kept me outside, child, not out of rebellion but out of reluctance. You wanted me to come in quietly, to blend into the background, to bless your decisions without challenging your direction. But I'm not a background blessing. I am the beginning and the end. The first word and the final say. And I will not step into a life where you haven't cleared the throne of self. I know it's painful to hear, but it's liberating if you'll receive it. You didn't have to be flawless. You just had to be willing. You didn't need to fix yourself. You just needed to invite me into the fixing. I never asked you to hide your scars. I wanted to hold them. I never told you to suppress your questions. I wanted to answer them. But you withheld access. You closed the deeper doors. You let me in the hallway but not the heart. You let me touch your Sundays but not your struggles. You gave me the words you rehearsed, but not the wounds you carried. And because of that, I stood, waiting, not for your perfection, but for your permission. I waited with open hands, with plans tailored to your purpose, with blueprints etched in eternity. But you kept negotiating with your fears. You kept making me conditional. I'll surrender when I feel ready. I'll obey when it makes sense. I'll follow when the cost is lower. But beloved, delay is still denial when I've asked for yes without disclaimers. Do you know what I could have built in the time you spent hesitating? Do you realize what I had prepared behind the veil of your indecision? Rooms you never walked into because you never opened the door. Encounters you missed because you were editing the script I wrote before you breathed your first. You didn't need to be ready, you just needed to be real. I don't require your polish, I want your permission. I don't call the perfect, I perfect the called. I didn't come for your image. I came for your interior. And now I'm telling you plainly, what was delayed wasn't because you were too broken. It was because you were too guarded. I knocked. You heard. But you never unlatched the door. You prayed, but you never positioned. You worshipped, but you never yielded. And now, you feel the ache of what's past, not as punishment, but as a prophetic echo of what could have poured through a surrendered yes. But even in this moment, I ask again, not for perfection, but for permission. Will you open every room? Will you give me access to the parts you've tried to hide, even from yourself? Will you stop withholding what I'd already see? This is not about proving yourself. This is about presenting yourself as you are, where you are. Oh, real and ready, not because you've done it all right, but because you've run out of reasons to resist. I don't need you to be spotless. I need you to be surrendered. Give me the key this time, not just to your prayers, but to your patterns. Not just to your altar, but to your appetite. I wasn't waiting for a flawless version of you. I was just waiting for a fearless yes. Will you give it now? There are clocks in heaven, child. Timetables tied to obedience. Prophetic schedules that don't bend for procrastination. You told me to wait. Maybe not with your lips, but with your choices. Every time you said not yet, every time you numbed your nudges, every time you postponed that surrender, you were telling me to wait. And I did. I waited longer than you knew. I paused things that had already begun. I held back blessings that were already in motion. I delayed angels already en route because I hoped your yes would come in time. But I am not bound to human delay. I am not shackled by indecision. I'm a God of appointed times, and this one has passed. I must speak this with trembling clarity. The clock struck. The final second fell. The window you thought would remain has now closed, not with fury, but with finality. Don't confuse my patience with passivity. I was patient, but I was also playing. I was building for a specific moment, a precise intersection in time when your heart, your healing, your purpose, and your provision would collide. It was a narrow place, divinely aligned. And I blew trumpet after trumpet, sent whisper after whisper, but you kept silencing the sacred with someday. And now, someday is yesterday. The cloud has moved. The moment has lifted. Heaven waited, but it cannot wait forever, because there are other lives entangled in your obedience. There are assignments scheduled that must proceed. There are timelines too holy to stall. My mercy may endure, but my appointments do not repeat on demand. And now the time you took for granted has turned into testimony, not of failure, but of truth. What was meant for you has not been discarded. It hath been reassigned, because I will not allow the obedience of others to be delayed by the hesitation of one. I will raise up another if I must, not to replace your value, but to fulfill my vision. And yet, I do not say this to shame you. I say it to awaken you, to show you that divine moments are not held hostage by our indecision. You asked for more time, but you didn't understand time as a servant to my will, not yours. And when the bell of heaven rings, it doesn't wait for your schedule to align. It waits for your surrender to activate. But now, that bell has rung. The moment has passed. And the weight you feel isn't punishment. It's the vacuum of opportunity removed. So what now? You turn your heart. You drop your pride. You repent, not with weeping only, but with wisdom. You ask me not for what was, but for what still remains. You don't beg for the clock to reverse. You align yourself with what I'm doing next. You stop watching the closed door and start preparing for the next assignment. Because, child, While one clock has struck final, I'm still writing your story. I'm still unfolding redemption in places you thought were ruined. But this time, move when I whisper. Obey when I blinked. Say yes when the moment breathes. Because clocks in heaven do not tick to entertain. They tick to align. And I need your spirit to start hearing time the way heaven does. Not as an endless resource, but as a sacred rhythm. And when you align with it, you will find me again. Not in delay, but in destiny. You assumed I was still because I had nothing to say. But child, I am never idle. I do not slumber. I do not forget. While you paced the floor asking, "Where is God?" I was behind the veil, gathering every cry you never dared to pray aloud. Every wordless groan that fell from your lips when you were too tired to form sentences. Every tear you shed alone in your car. Every sigh that escaped your chest in rooms full of people who never noticed. Every shattered dream, every bruised hope, every unanswered plea. I collected them all. You thought your silence buried them, but I archived them. Like a divine scribe, I wrote each one into my remembrance. Not a single ache was wasted. Not a single longing went unnoticed. While you felt abandoned, I was actually building something behind the scenes. An altar. An altar crafted from intercession and intimacy. A place where I laid every part of you that this world mishandled. You thought nothing was happening, but heaven was heavy with preparation. You know what kind of God I am. I am the God who bottles tears. I am the God who turns groaning into glory. I am the God who forges altars from agony. You only saw the surface, the unanswered calls, the unhealed wounds. But I saw the undercurrent, the hidden war beneath your worn-out smile. And I didn't dismiss it. I didn't despise it. I didn't diminish it. I took it. Every fragment, every whisper, every broken sentence that started with, "God, I don't even know what to say." I knew what you meant. I knew the storm behind your silence. So I began to gather, not with pity, but with purpose. I was making a memorial out of the moments you thought were lost. Because in my kingdom, nothing surrendered is ever wasted. Every loss becomes language. Every scar becomes strategy. And every silence becomes soil for something sacred. But here's what you must understand. Altars are not just for memory. They are for movement. They are the place where what has been gathered must be given. You see, I didn't gather it all just to comfort you. I gathered it to confront you. To call you to the altar where it must now be laid down. You've carried this pain like armor. You've worn your disappointment like a shield. But now, I'm asking you to bring it to the place I've been preparing. I didn't just gather it for display. I gathered it for sacrifice. It's time, child. Time to lay down the weight. Time to give me not just the highlight reel, but the hidden heaviness. You say you want newness, but new things don't grow in cluttered hands. I've held what you couldn't. But now I ask, will you let me have it fully? Will you place it on the altar, not just in words but in release? This isn't a punishment. This is a passage. What I gathered, I now give back to you as a holy offering. But you must bring it willingly. Don't let pride dress up as strength. Don't let numbness rob you of release. Bring me the anger. Bring me the why. Bring me the version of you that you've tried to keep hidden, even from yourself. The altar is ready. The gathering has ended. Now it is time to give. What you release here will become the very ashes I breathe into purpose. And in this divine exchange, you will finally understand. My silence was not absence. It was orchestration. The gathering was sacred. The altar is holy. and what you place there will not stay dead. It will rise again, reborn, refined, redeemed. You've just heard what I said, that the moment you're standing in is not neutral. It's prophetic. And I didn't just speak this word for you, I placed it here to ignite others through you. When you pour into this mission, through a super thanks, membership, or the seed you sow through PayPal, you are releasing oil into the lamps of souls still wandering in the dark. You're not giving to Gadant, you're giving to Tindam Kabathan. As it is written, the generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Proverbs 11:25. Child, this is your moment to multiply the word I've given, to let it flow like a river into places your feet will never walk. I've positioned this ministry as good ground, and the harvest will not be delayed. Go now. Sow with faith. Give into fire. How many times did you feel the nudge? That divine tug in your chest, that quickening in your spirit, that flash of clarity that pierced through the fog. That wasn't coincidence. That was opportunity knocking. And not just any opportunity. It was heaven-wrapped, destiny sealed, eternally timed visitation. You felt it, but you brushed it off. Later you said, I'm not ready yet. You postponed the promptings. You rationalized the interruptions. You assumed that what came once would come again. But child, opportunity is clothed in time. And time is not your servant. It is mine. And I do not permit it to linger indefinitely where obedience has stalled. What you thought was casual delay was actually costly denial. Because every divine opportunity carries an expiration date, not out of cruelty, but out of covenant. I align moments with vision. And when you ignore the moment, the mission shifts. But with once yours becomes someone else's assignment. I'm not telling you this to condemn. I'm telling you this because I love you too much to let you live in illusion. You thought you could circle back when it was convenient. You believed that doors would remain, that opportunities would orbit until you were ready. But I am a God of forward movement. I walk with fire in my steps and timing in my breath. And I cannot hold everything in place for your indecision. The windows I open are sacred. They are miracles in motion. When they appear, they demand urgency. When they knock, they must be answered. And now, I must tell you, the garment of that opportunity has shifted. It has moved on. The knock you once heard has grown faint. The invitation you ignored has been placed in new hands. What because I stopped loving you, but because I must keep building what I promise. And I only build with what is yielded. You may ask, will another chance come? And my answer is this. I am the God of redemption. I am the restorer of ruins. But what you had, the specific opportunity crafted for that hour, it will not return in the same form. It was tailor-made for who you were called to be then. It matched a season, a configuration, a divine orchestration that can't be duplicated. Yes, I can write new stories. I can create fresh paths. But the one you postponed will remain what it was, a missed moment in time. You must stop romanticizing delay as harmless. You must stop treating obedience as optional. When heaven knocks, it does not knock forever. When I call, I do not linger in indecision. I am not a passive suitor. I am a king. And my invitations are not casual, they are covenantal. But listen, this is not the end of your usefulness. It is the beginning of your awareness. You now know the cost of delay. You now understand the holy weight of moments mismanaged. And if you will humble yourself, not in shame, but in sobriety, I can still build something glorious with what remains. You must be quicker this time, more tender, more attuned. A next knock may come softer, the next moment more subtle. But if you're watching, if your spirit is bound low and your ears are alert, you will hear it. And when it comes, answer it with trembling. Don't delay. Don't debate. Don't demand confirmation after confirmation. When you feel me move again, run. Because opportunity wears time like a cloak. And when it enters your space again, I want you to be clothed in readiness, not regret. You cried out to me, Lord, just show me. Just give me a sign, and I'll obey. And I did. Over and over again, I sent confirmations wrapped in conversations, in scriptures that leapt off the page, in dreams that lingered longer than your morning breath. I whispered through strangers. I thundered through closed doors. I aligned divine encounters at just the right time. I even gave you the very words you asked for, them possible confirmations that you thought I wouldn't notice. And yet when the moment came to move, you paused. When the time came to obey, you analyzed. When the door opened, you hesitated, not because you didn't believe it was me, but because deep down, you still wanted to be in control. You wanted my direction to feel safe. You wanted your yes to come with guarantees. You wanted obedience that didn't cost comfort. But child, I never promised clarity before surrender. I promised presence in the unknown. You must hear me now. I will not keep sending signs to compensate for unwilling hearts. I am not a performer. I am not a god to be summoned for spiritual entertainment. I give signs not as a substitute for trust, but as invitations into it. When you ask me to prove it's you, and then still resist my leading, it is no longer doubt. It is disobedience. And yes, I say this to awaken, not to shame. Because the signs were never meant to carry the weight of your calling. Your faith was. The confirmation was not the foundation. I am. You say, God, give me more signs. But what you really mean is, God, give me more control. And that control has become your idol. Your safety net. Your condition for obedience. But beloved, obedience is not obedience if it must be pre-approved by your comfort. I will not compete with your logic. I will not out-argue your anxiety. I will not negotiate with a fear-wrenched faith. I call you to follow, not because you see it all, but because you trust the one who does. You didn't lack confirmation. You lacked completion. You started well. You believed for a while. But when the path turned foggy, you pulled back. You interpreted the unknown as danger. But I never lead through certainty. I lead through presence. And if you always need another sign before you move, you'll become paralyzed by the very thing meant to propel you. You'll become addicted to evidence instead of anchored in my essence. And child, that is dangerous. Because the enemy, too, can mimic signs. He can arrange moments that look like answers. He can speak in half-truths that resemble clarity. That is why I need you rooted in me, not just in manifestations. Because signs can stir the spirit, but only surrender secures the walk. So now I ask you plainly, will you keep waiting for another sign? Or will you remember the ones I've already given? Will you finally release the grip of control and step into the wild waters of faith? The kind of faith that doesn't demand details. The kind that doesn't require a safety net. The kind that says, even if I don't feel ready, I trust you are. I've confirmed it already, child. I've shown you more than once. And if you keep demanding more signs, you'll miss the movement that's already begun. It's time. Don't look for more evidence. Look for me. Because I'm not sending another sign. I'm sending a summons. Follow me. You told yourself you'd get ready eventually. That you'd sort things out when the time came. that somehow there would be a final warning, a flashing red light, a siren in the soul. You imagined that the moment would announce itself loud and clear, and that you'd rise to meet it like a hero in a story. But that's not how my kingdom operates. Moments of divine appointment come not with fanfare, they come with suddenness, with unexpected wind, with holy interruption. And when they come, they don't wait for your feelings to catch up. They don't pause for your hesitations. They require readiness, not reaction. But child, you weren't ready. You had intentions, but not preparation. You had desire, but not discipline. You prayed for the moment, but you didn't prepare for it. And when it arrived, you froze in the very place you were meant to move. You see, readiness is not a switch you flip when destiny knocks. It is a lifestyle. It's found in the quiet disciplines, the unseen sacrifices, the daily yeses no one claps for. Readiness is built when you obey without applause. When you seek me when no one is watching. When you choose me over convenience. You wanted to be used mightily, but you underestimated what it takes to carry glory. You asked for my power, but neglected my presence. You thought I would thrust you into purpose by force, but I was waiting for you to cultivate endurance in the secret place. Because when the moment arrives, it exposes everything. It reveals whether you've been sleeping or watching, whether you've been storing oil or wasting it. And child, when your moment came, it found you distracted, half-filled, unfocused, still deciding if you were in. And I'm not speaking this to shame you. I'm speaking this to shape you. Because there will be another moment, a new door, a fresh wind. But next time, you cannot treat it as optional. You cannot live in maybe and expect to walk in miracle. The moment required readiness, and readiness is responsibility. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be imitated. It cannot be performed. It must be formed. And formation takes time. The time you thought you always had. But now you've learned, not all time is equal. There are seasons of preparation that determine the weight you will be able to carry. If you rush them, or ignore them, you'll arrive at opportunity with empty hands and an overwhelmed heart. So now, my child, gird yourself. Let this truth settle into your bones. No more delay. No more dabbling. No more eventually. Prepare now. Fast now. Pray now. Sanctify now. Say yes now. Because the next moment will not wait. And this time, I want to find you ready, not scrambling. I want to find you filled, not running to borrow oil from someone else's fire. I want you standing in authority, not reaching in panic. I want you awake, alert, anointed, and aligned. Don't wait for the moment to meet you. Become the person who's already met it in the secret place. Because when readiness is your posture, destiny will never pass you by again. I see you, still clinging to yesterday like a sacred keepsake. Still praying for me to breathe life into something I already called finished. You say, Lord, restore it. You say, bring it back. Make it like it was. But child, how can I restore what you won't release? You want resurrection without surrender. You want me to heal the thing you're still idolizing. You've turned memories into monuments and disappointments into altars. You spiritualized your attachment when really you're afraid of the unknown. You're not asking for restoration because you love me. You're asking because you don't want to grieve. Because grieving means admitting it's over. And you think if it ends, it means you failed. But no, child. What ended because I close it. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. I cannot restore what you want removed from the throne of your heart. I cannot rebuild what you're still holding hostage. You cry out for renewal, but your hands are full of fragments I never told you to keep. The relationship, the opportunity, the version of yourself you thought was the one. You want it resurrected, but I want you released. Because what I have next for you requires empty hands. Open hands. Hands not tangled in the strings of yesterday. Restoration doesn't mean repetition. I'm not trying to rewind your life. I'm trying to redeem it. I don't want to give you back what was. I want to give you something so holy, so different, so much more aligned with who you're becoming, that you'll look back and thank me for what did return. Do you not know? I am the God who makes all things new, not recycled. New. Not rebranded. New. But new cannot enter where the old still reigns. You've asked me to step into your ashes. But child, I can only pour oil on what's truly laid down. If you keep picking up what I asked you to lay down, you delay your own healing. You prolong your own breakthrough. Because I will not bless what still binds you. I will not place destiny on top of denial. I require release. Real, raw, painful release. The kind that costs you comfort but births you into freedom. You don't have to pretend you're okay with it. You just have to let it go and trust that what I rebuild will be worth what you release. So here is my invitation. Come to the altar again. Not with another list of what you want me to fix, but with open hands and surrendered tears. Come not to demand revival of the old, but to receive revelation of the new. And when you do, I will move. I will restore in ways that redefine you, but only when you release. Because I will never drag resurrection into a place where you're still trying to breathe life into what I've already buried. Let it go, child. Let me have it, all of it, and watch me do what only I can do. You judge the season by what you saw, and because you saw nothing, you assume nothing was being done. But beloved, my most powerful work has always happened in silence. While you were waiting for fireworks, I was pouring concrete. While you were scanning the horizon for signs of success, I was digging deeper into your spirit, forming pillars the storm couldn't shake. You said, God, why is it taking so long? But what you didn't know was this. I wasn't just preparing the blessing. I was preparing the base. The deeper the assignment, the deeper the foundation must go. And I had to go deep. Deeper than your pride. Deeper than your fears. Deeper than your timeline. I was digging where no one else could reach. Places in your soul that were unhealed. Quarters of your character that weren't yet trustworthy. Wounds that still whispered lies into your identity. And I wasn't doing it to delay you. I was doing it to secure you. Because a shallow foundation cannot carry a heavy anointing. And what I've called you to carry is not light. It's not casual. It's weighty with purpose. It's eternal in consequence. And I refuse to crown someone who will crumble under the weight of glory. That's why I dug so long. That's why I let the silence stretch. I wasn't punishing you. I was preparing you. I was fortifying your inner man, strengthening your unseen muscles, teaching your soul how to worship without applause, training your spirit to recognize me when no one else does. And you thought I was doing nothing. You mistook depth for delay. You called silence a curse when it was actually sacred construction. And now I need you to see it. I need you to reframe the season you've resented. Because the stillness wasn't stagnation. It was structure. Do you know why you didn't break during that season? Why the pressure didn't crush you? Why the storm didn't sweep you away? Because the foundation held. The roots I planted in you, roots of worship, prayer, dependence, intimacy, they held firm when everything else shook. The foundation I built when you thought I was gone saved your life. That's what I do. I hide my greatest work in places no one is applauding. I forge champions in silence. I build generals in obscurity. I prepare kings and prophets in caves. And I did the same with you. So now, do not despise that season anymore. Don't curse the silence. Don't regret the hidden years. They were holy, and they made you unshakable. Because now that the foundation is laid, I will begin to build publicly what I form privately. Now the silence will break. Now the scaffolding will rise. Now the elevation will begin, but it will not collapse, because it is rooted in the invisible architecture of my hand. And when others ask, how did you rise so quickly? You will answer, I was rising when no one saw. I would ready willy win. And you will know it wasn't sudden. It was sovereign. And it was always me. You felt the shift, didn't you? That unsettling sense that something had changed in the spirit. The nearness you once felt seemed to grow distant. The warmth of my presence faded into a kind of holy quiet. And your first thought was, he's left me. But child, I never leave. Never. My covenant is eternal. My love is relentless. I am not the kind who walks away when things get hard. I am not like the people who made promises and broke them. I am not a man that I should lie, or a human that I should flinch. When I said I'd never forsake you, I meant it with my blood. So no, I didn't leave you. I repositioned myself. I stepped back, not to hurt you, but to reveal what still had you. Because sometimes, what clings to your soul cannot be exposed in intimacy. It must be revealed in absence. You see, as long as you felt me constantly, holding, affirming, rescuing, you never noticed the other things you were depending on. The crutches, the coping, the counterfeits, the pride that masqueraded as self-sufficiency, the fear that pretended to be discernment, a control you called caution. But when I pulled back, just slightly, just long enough, it all began to surface. The false comforts came out. The true condition of your trust became clear. What you reached for in the absence of my nearness revealed what truly ruled your affections. And I allowed it, not to condemn you, but to cleanse you. Because what I'm building with you cannot survive divided loyalty. You say you want to carry my glory, but glory can only rest where surrender is full. And I love you too much to let you carry this next season with a heart still split between two loves. This was never about punishment. It was about purification. I repositioned myself so you could see you. Because I want your worship to be pure. Not reactive. Not based on feelings. But anchored in faith. Anchored in revelation. Anchored in the truth that even when I seem silent, I am still sovereign. That even when you can't trace my hand, you'll trust my heart. You asked for deeper, and this was my answer. Deeper isn't goosebumps. Deeper is devotion when the lights go out. Deeper is faithfulness when the fight dims. Deeper is trusting the God who feels distant, because you remember the God who never left. So now I ask, what did you run to when you thought I stepped away? What did you lean on when my whisper turned quiet? What did you elevate when my embrace felt far? Bring it to me. Lay it down. Let me burn it in the fire of truth. Because I'm returning now. Not because I left, but because you're finally ready to see me as I truly am. Not just your deliverer, but your desire. Not just your savior, but your sovereign. Not just the one who rescues, but the one who reigns. Let me take the throne fully this time. No rivals, no competitors, no plan B, Just me. You thought you had time. You thought you could circle back later. That somehow, because the invitation came in love, it would stay open indefinitely. But child, when I invite with urgency. I may love you with everlasting love, but I do not wait forever on delayed obedience. Because obedience delayed is still disobedience in heaven's eyes. The invitation I extended was not casual. It was weighty, time-sensitive. It carried eternity inside of it. It was marked by a window, wrapped in divine sequence. I wasn't just inviting you to an encounter. I was calling you into alignment. A sacred place in time where heaven was moving, and you were meant to move with it. But you didn't treat it like it mattered. You treated it like one more option. One more email in the inbox. One more someday dream. You said, I'll pray about it, when I was saying, move now. You asked for more time when what you needed was more trust. And now the window has shifted. The grace of that particular moment has lifted. The river moved, and you stayed on the shore. And child, you feel it, don't you? That ache. That dull pain in your spirit that can't be shaken. It's not just sadness. That's the echo of a mismove. The sound of divine momentum that passed by while you were still deciding whether or not to leap. And I need you to understand. This isn't because I'm cruel. It's because I'm king. I cannot wait on the indecision of one when destinies of many are on the line. I must honor alignment. I must advance the kingdom. And if you treat my invitations like convenience, you will forfeit what was meant to be history. The ones who carry my glory are not the most talented. They are the most responsive. The ones who shift nations are not the loudest. They are the quickest to say yes. And that's what I was looking for from you. A yes that didn't wait for comfort. A yes that didn't demand perfect conditions. A yes that moved when I whispered, not after I shouted. But listen to me. Even in this there is mercy. Though that window has closed, my voice is still speaking. Though that moment has passed, my movement has not ended. You may not be able to go back, but you can still go forward. You can still say yes. Not to the same invitation, but to the next one. But this time, treat it like it matters. Let your response carry the weight of eternity. When I call again, and I will, don't hesitate. Don't analyze it into oblivion. Don't drown the moment in fear. Jump. Woo. Obey. Not because it's convenient, but because you trust me more than you trust your understanding. The next invitation will knock twice. And this time, I want to find you ready. There's a sorrow you felt, a heaviness you couldn't explain. And yes, some of it came from what was stolen, what was broken, what was unjustly ripped from your hands. I wept with you there. I stood by your side. I mourned what was taken. But child, there is another grief you've been running from. A grief not of loss but of delay. The ache of what could have been, if you had moved when I whispered, if you had trusted me beyond your comfort, if you had obeyed without the need for evidence. You grieve the enemy's hand, but you never grieve your own hesitation. You mourn what others did, but you didn't confront what you didn't do. And now I bring this truth, not to crush you, but to clear the fog. Because, my beloved, the enemy did steal everything. Some things were lost to delay. Some doors didn't close because of warfare. They closed because of waited too long. And I need you to see it. Not so you drown in regret, but so you break agreement with passivity. You thought time would wait for you to feel ready, but it didn't. Time kept marching. Kairos moments came, and you hesitated. Divine alignments arrived, and you analyzed. Your delay didn't just cost you speed. It cost you seasons. And yes, you can still be used. Yes, I still love you. Yes, my grace remains. But there is a difference between loss and forfeiture. One is caused by enemies. The other is caused by hesitation. And only when you grieve the delay will you start living with the urgency you were meant to carry. You see, I never designed you to live casually. I placed fire in your bones, a trumpet in your voice, an urgency in your spirit. But you muted it with logic. You let the fire cool because it made others uncomfortable. You downplayed your call to make room for acceptance. You buried your burden beneath a pile of excuses. It's not the right time. What if I fail? I'm still figuring things out. But child, I gave you instructions, not suggestions. I gave you assignments, not ideas. And every time you paused what I breathed, you partnered with delay. And delay became your normal. Until you couldn't tell the difference between divine timing and disobedient waiting. But now I call you out of that fog. Now I shine my light on the corners you tried to ignore. I am not doing this to shame you. I am doing this to set you on fire again. To burn away the comfort that cost you calling. To baptize you in holy urgency. To reawaken the prophet inside you. The dreamer you silenced. The warrior you put in a waiting room. I want you to grieve it, not with hopelessness but with repentance. Let the tears fall, not for what was stolen, but for what you refused to move on. And when the tears come, I will meet you in them. I will begin to redeem the delay. I will breathe on what remains. But only after you see it for what it was, not just a season you missed, but a moment that marked you forever. You spoke those words so many times. I'm just waiting on God. But child, if only you could have seen what I saw. The movement. The release. The orchestration of heaven happening behind the veil. You weren't waiting on me, I was waiting on you. I have already given the word. I had already shifted the atmosphere. I have already sent the provision ahead. But you stood still, cloaking fear in spiritual language. You called hesitation discernment. You labeled passivity as patience. But I must tell you this plainly. The river of my will was moving, and you were behind. Not because I left you, but because you didn't follow when the cloud moved. You were still seeking confirmation when I had already released commission. Still asking for peace when I had given a command. My spirit had already stirred the waters, but you didn't step in. And yes, I am merciful. Yes, I am kind. But I will not rewrite what you refused to walk out. I will not pause heaven's movement for your comfort zone. I am not slow. I am precise. And I was on time. You, my beloved, were late. And now the ache you feel, that sense of being off rhythm, out of sync, that's not confusion, that's conviction. That's the spirit of truth sounding the alarm in your spirit, saying, catch up, realign, move now. Because this isn't about being perfect, it's about being present, being postured, being ready to follow. My sheep hear my voice, and they move, even when they don't have all the details, even when the mountain ahead looks intimidating, even when the promise seems unclear. I didn't need you to understand everything. I needed you to obey. That's the posture I'm calling you back to. A faith that doesn't flinch. The yes that doesn't negotiate. The obedience that doesn't require constant validation. Because, child, heaven moves with precision. And I need you to match heaven's pace, not ask heaven to match your hesitation. So now, this moment, is your chance to repent for every time you blamed me for delay that was actually yours. and not just with words but with movement. Don't just cry about it, correct it. Don't just feel bad. Follow me. Catch the rhythm again. Tune your spirit to my voice. Sharpen your hearing. Sanctify your decisions. Because I am still moving. And I want you with me. I never stopped leading. But now I want to see you following again. Quickly, fully, fiercely. No more dragging your feet. No more hiding behind spiritual excuses. It's time to walk in step with the King. Because heaven is not waiting. And neither should you. You stood before me, child, hands lifted, lips trembling with prayers for breakthrough. You cried, fasted, worshipped, and even warred, believing, declaring, expecting me to move mountains. And yes, I heard every word. I saw every tear. But what you didn't know was that the door you wanted to open on the outside required a door to open on the inside first. I wasn't holding back your breakthrough. I was waiting for your brokenness. Not the brokenness that comes from tragedy, but the kind that comes from surrender. From humility. From laying your whole heart bare before me. Not the polished version, not the practiced faith, but the real you, the fragile, frightened, flawed you. Because, child, breakthrough is not magic. It is not a reward for shouting louder or working harder. Breakthrough is a byproduct of yieldedness. It is born in the hidden places where you collapse before me, not in despair, but in divine dependence. You wanted me to open the next chapter, but you never let me rewrite the current one. You asked for power but resisted pruning. You desired miracles but avoided meekness. I am the God of resurrection, yes, but only after death. Only after surrender. Only after the seed falls and breaks open in the ground. You kept your heart locked behind religious habits and survival patterns. You prayed for more of me, but wouldn't give me all of you. And I cannot fill what you refuse to empty. So I waited. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm committed. Committed to giving you me, not just my gifts. And I knew, if I gave you breakthrough before brokenness, it would have broken you. It would have inflated pride. It would have reinforced the illusion that you can control outcomes while withholding your interior. But child, your destiny is too holy for shallow roots. The doors I've designed for you aren't just wide, they're weighty. And only a broken, surrendered heart can carry the glory waiting on the other side. So now I ask again, will you finally open your heart, fully? Will you let me into the rooms you've labeled off limits? The shame you've disguised as strength. The pain you've coded in silence. I don't want your perfection. I want your permission. I don't require a spotless vessel. I require a surrendered one. Because when you give me your broken pieces, I give you unshakable peace. When you yield your hidden wounds, I pour healing that rewrites your identity. And when you finally break open before me, you'll find the breakthrough you've been crying out for wasn't being withheld. It was being protected. I didn't deny you. I was waiting for you. And now, if you'll bow low, I'll lift you high. If you'll break open, I'll pour out. If you'll finally trust me with the whole you, I'll entrust you with the next glory. Let brokenness come, not as your defeat, but as your doorway. Because your breakthrough isn't on the other side of striving, it's on the other side of surrender. I see what's stirring in you right now, the shift, the fire, the clarity. But child, this word was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to move through you. When you respond through giving, whether by a super thanks, membership, or a PayPal seed, you are partnering with my voice to reach hearts that are hanging by a thread. What you release now becomes manna for someone else's midnight. He who sows generously will also reap generously. 2 Corinthians 9:6. And I don't lie. I reward what aligns with my breath. This isn't just a video. It's a vineyard of impact, and your support sends the wine of my presence to the world. Don't delay. Don't shrink. Give boldly, and watch what I release in return. You kept asking me for signs, for details, for outlines, as if clarity could save you, as if knowing everything ahead would somehow shield you from fear. But child, clarity is not your savior. I am. You don't need the whole map when you know the one who made the land. You were waiting for me to illuminate every step, but I was watching to see if you'd take just one step into the unknown, one move without all the pieces, one yes without full understanding. You see, this journey is not about explanation, it's about revelation. And revelation does not come through control, it comes through courage. And courage is born not in knowing the way but in knowing me. You kept delaying your yes until you could make sense of it. But I was never calling you to make sense. I was calling you to make space. Space in your heart to trust. Space in your soul to risk again. Space in your mind to let go of the idol of certainty. You didn't need more clarity. You needed conviction. The conviction that I am faithful even when the path looks fragile. That I am present even when the picture is blurry. You asked, Lord, what if I fall? And I whispered, what if I catch you? You wanted a plan. I wanted your posture. Because when you walk in courage, even trembling steps become holy ground. This is why I was silent when you demanded answers. Not because I didn't care, but because I care too much to give you false safety. If I gave you every detail, you'd depend on logic, not my leading. You walk by sight, not by faith. And faith is what pleases me. Faith is what moves angels. Faith is what shifts atmospheres. Faith is what causes the wind of heaven to back your steps. So no, I will not always explain, but I will always be with you. I will go ahead of you, beside you, within you. And every time you choose courage over clarity, you give me something I cannot get from angels, your trust. So I ask again, will you trust me now? Not when it makes sense, but because I make sense. Will you move even when it costs you comfort? Will you say yes even when the outcome is unclear? I am not looking for perfection. I am looking for courage, the kind of courage that says, even if I don't understand, I'll still obey. Because in that kind of courage, miracles are born. In that kind of trust, nations shift. And in that kind of surrender, you will find me, not just as a distant voice, but as your closest companion. You don't need more signs. You need more surrender. You don't need more data. You need more devotion. Choose courage, child. Choose me. And the clarity you thought you needed will come as a byproduct of trust. You thought the prayer meant pause. That the weight you were feeling was a sign to stay still. That the warfare, the heaviness, the fatigue, all meant it was a wrong time. But child, you misread the moment. The pressure wasn't there to push you backward. It was there to push you forward. I allowed the weight, not to break you, but to birth something in you. Because what I placed inside of you was never meant to remain dormant. It was meant to grow, stretch, emerge. And like a child in the womb, there comes a moment when the pressure becomes a signal. It's time to deliver. You see, pressure is often my final announcement. When everything around you begins to tighten, when comfort dries up, when the path gets narrow and friends fall away, it's not always the enemy. Sometimes it's me. Closing off the exits, drying out the wells, breaking the scaffolding. because I want you to move. And I knew, if I didn't allow the pressure, you would have stayed in places I never intended you to remain. You were waiting for peace to lead you, but peace doesn't always come before movement. Sometimes it follows obedience. The pressure you're feeling isn't punishment. It's positioning. I am provoking movement because you've outgrown this space. Spiritually, emotionally, prophetically, you are too large for the room you're in. And I won't let you shrink to stay. But here's where I need your heart to awaken. You've been interpreting discomfort as danger. You've assumed resistance means not now. But child, the resistance isn't rejection. It's revelation. It reveals that the current space can no longer sustain your purpose. You're feeling pressed because I'm preparing to launch you. But launching always feels like tension first. A stretch before the release. The strain before the send. You say you want to soar, but then you flinch when the nest shakes. You say you're ready for more, but then you panic when the ground trembles. Listen to me. The pressure is not your enemy. It's your midwife. Let it do its work. Let it break the old wineskin. Let it shake the routine you've settled for. And now I speak this clearly. Move. Don't wait for the pressure to disappear. It was never meant to. Move through the pressure. Trust me in the tension. I am not late. I am not cruel. I am strategic. And I have allowed this moment to come not to stop you, but to summon you. Out of comfort. Out of delay. Out of dependence on feelings. Into movement. Into trust. Into obedience. Because pressure is not the absence of my presence. It's the invitation into greater glory. So move now. Even if it hurts. Even if it's messy. Even if you feel unqualified. Move. Because the pressure has done its job. Now it's your turn to step forward. I see your tired heart. The kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep. The exhaustion that seeps into your soul, making even the smallest tasks feel like mountains. And you've wondered, what's wrong with me? You checked for sin, for disobedience, for hidden rebellion, but still, the weight hasn't lifted. Child, it's not always rebellion that drains you. Sometimes it's misalignment. You've been carrying things I never assigned. Holding up people, projects, expectations, outcomes, as if you were responsible to sustain what only I can. You didn't mean to take too much. You just tried to help. You just wanted to be faithful. But somewhere along the way, you became the source instead of the vessel. And vessels were never meant to carry everything. You took on responsibilities because others dropped them. You said yes to tasks because no one else stepped up. You filled gaps that weren't yours to fill. And now, your back is bending under the weight of well-meaning overreach. And I say this not to scold, but to free you. I never asked you to carry it all. I am not impressed by your exhaustion. I am not glorified in your burnout. I do not require sacrifice that drains you into numbness. I desire alignment, obedience, simplicity. You are weary not because you're weak, but because you're misaligned. You stepped into roles I never called you to, taken on burdens that belong to me. You've confused busyness with fruitfulness. But child, not all movement is momentum. I designed you to live from overflow, not depletion. To walk in rhythm with my spirit, not race ahead in your own strength. And I can feel you straining, trying to prove you're enough. Trying to keep all the plates spinning. Trying to be the answer for everyone else. But that's not your job. That's mine. You are not the savior. You are not the source. You are my servant, my child, my beloved, not my replacement. So now, I need you to release, to come back into alignment, to drop what I didn't assign, to repent for assuming roles out of fear or pride or pressure. I don't want your perfection. I want your presence. I want you back in step with me. So here is my invitation. Let go. Let me recalibrate you. Let me reorder your priorities. Let me reestablish your boundaries. I am not calling you to more effort. I am calling you to more intimacy. And in that place, you'll find clarity, strength, rest, real rest. Not the kind that numbs you, the kind that restores you. But it begins with this. Lay it down. That burden. That task. That role. That responsibility. If I didn't assign it, it's not yours to carry. Come back to alignment, and you'll discover your strength hasn't left you. It was simply buried under the weight of what never belonged on your shoulders in the first place. You came to me asking, Lord, raise me up. And yes, I've heard those prayers. I've seen your tears. I've seen you dream and declare, envisioning the platforms, the reach, the impact. And child, none of those desires are too big for me. I'm the God who created the heavens, so surely I can elevate you in the earth. But here is what you've yet to see. I cannot elevate you into a place where my voice must compete with theirs. I cannot raise you into visibility while you're still enslaved to the opinions of those I never even consulted when I wrote your calling. You are asking for me to lift you, but you've still been bowing to applause, bowing to validation, bowing to familiar voices whose volume you've elevated higher than mine. And hear me with soberness. Child, if I elevate you before I deliver you from the fear of man, your elevation will become your undoing. You cannot carry kingdom weight while checking the crowd's reaction every 5 steps. You cannot fulfill my purpose for your life while still editing yourself for the approval of those whose hearts are not aligned with heaven. Some of the people you're trying to please, I removed for a reason. Some of the voices you've been chasing after, they were distractions, not divine alignments. And yet, you still bend, still hesitate, still soften your tone when it comes to truth, still shrink back from the boldness I placed inside you. You keep calling it wisdom, but I call it compromise. And I say this not to shame you, but to set you free. Because the truth is, your voice is powerful. Your call is real. Your destiny is heavy with my fingerprints. But before I raise you into that space, I have to cleanse your ears. I have to sever the soul ties you formed with opinions that were never rooted in my spirit. I have to teach you to recognize my voice again, above all others. Because where I am taking you, there will be many opinions. There will be public scrutiny. There will be temptation to conform, to dilute, to people please. But I am not raising a performer. I am releasing a prophet. I am not exalting a brand. I am establishing a witness. And that kind of assignment cannot survive if you're still checking comments to decide if you're valid. So here is my call. Break agreement with fear. Reject the counterfeit thrones you've built in the hearts of others. Let me deliver you from needing their yes so you can walk fully in mine. Because once you are free from the need to be understood, approved, or applauded, then I can raise you. Then I can open the doors that won't destroy you. Then I can release the platforms that will be altars, not stages. Then I can trust you with influence that carries impact. The elevation will come, but only after the extraction of everything that's held you down. I'm not just lifting you, I'm liberating you. And if you say yes to that process, then the places I take you next will not be about being seen but about revealing me. You kept asking me to take you out of it. is sure in this season. To end the trial, you begged for an escape route, thinking that survival meant deliverance. But child, I wasn't ignoring you. I was answering you in a way you didn't expect. You asked for release, but I gave you resilience. You wanted a way out, but I was creating someone who could stand through it. Because this season, the one you called unfair, the one that broke you open, the one you nearly cursed in your desperation, it was never designed to kill you. It was designed to crown you. Do you know how kings are forged? How warriors are born? Not through ease, but through endurance. Not through luxury, but through loss. The crown you're asking me for carries a weight you didn't understand, so I had to train your shoulders first. I had to strip away entitlement. I had to fortify your character. I had to expose the parts of you that would have cracked under pressure, and I promoted you too soon. At betrayal. It purified your motives. At loneliness. It refined your hearing. At closed door. It redirected your path toward purpose. You thought I was being cruel by keeping you in it, but I was building you in it. And now, you're not who you were when this began. You're stronger, younger, more rooted, and more dangerous to hell than you've ever been. Child, I know it's been long. I know it's felt endless. But hear me, endurance is not the absence of weariness. It is the refusal to quit when you feel it. And you didn't quit. You're still here. Even when hope flickered. Even when silence lingered. Even when no one else understood what you were going through. You stayed. And that, beloved, has made heaven stand at attention. You think you failed, but I say you finished the course. You think you lost time, but I say you gained weight in the spirit. You thought it was wasted, but nothing is wasted when I'm the one who allowed it. Because I'm the only God who can use ashes as ink to write your next chapter. You were not being punished. You were being processed. And now, the crown is ready. So now, receive this truth. I am not pulling you out. I am pulling you up. You will rise from this season not as a survivor, but as a sovereign one. One who carries oil. One who walks with fire in their eyes. One who can speak and shake atmospheres. But don't despise the fire that forged you. Don't curse the valley that cultivated you. Because this crown was not placed cheaply. It was earned in the furnace. And now, it fits you. You don't need to explain how you got here. You just need to wear it well. With humility. With reverence. With the full knowledge that what was meant to crush you commissioned you. What was sent to bury you birthed you. You are not escaping anymore. You are emerging. Crowned. Called. And completely mine. You said, Lord, show me the next step. You cried out for vision, strategy, confirmation. You wanted blueprints, clarity, assurance. But child, what you didn't see is that I was never silent. I had already spoken. I had already given you something. Something small, maybe. Something hidden. Something unimpressive to others. But it was sacred. And I placed it right in front of you, not because it was the final thing, but because it was the first thing. And while you were staring at the horizon, waiting for what's next, you overlooked what was now. And I need you to hear this. I cannot release your next assignment if you are still mishandling the current one. Faithfulness is the bridge between seasons. This was never about performance. It was about posture. The way you treat the small things reveals how you'll carry the weighty things. You want platform, but I'm watching how you steward private places. You want influence, but I'm watching how you serve when no one sees. You say you're ready for the next door, but your heart still resents the one I opened before it. You call it too small, beneath your gifting, a waiting season. But child, that small thing was the test. That assignment I gave you, the person I told you to call, the note I nudged you to write, the neighbor I asked you to love, that was me, seeing if your obedience was real. If your heart would honor me without recognition. Because if you cannot steward the present, you will never step faithfully into the future. And I say this not to condemn you, but to realign you. Because the delay you're sensing is not always demonic. Sometimes it's a mirror, a holy reflection of the areas still waiting for your obedience. You want to skip levels, but I don't promote without preparation. And preparation isn't just about learning, it's about honoring what's already in your hands. That gift you buried because it didn't feel big enough. I saw that. That nudge you ignored because it didn't fit your timeline. I noticed. And yes, I'm patient. But I'm also precise. I don't reveal the next until you honor the now. Because if I gave you more without maturity, it would crush you. But if you return to what I already asked of you, I will flood your path with fresh clarity. So now I ask, will you revisit what I gave you last? Will you dust off the journal, reopen the forgotten assignment, and finish what I began in you? Not because it's glamorous, but because it's God. Not because it feels impressive, but because it carries eternal weight. If you'll return to that place of hidden faithfulness, I will meet you there. I will release new blueprints, new strength, new favor. Because I never stopped speaking, I was simply waiting for you to steward what I already said. Do that, and what's next will not just be revealed, it will chase you down. You've whispered it in the dark. You've screamed it in private. Gun, where are you? Why haven't you come through yet? You thought I was ignoring the clock, that I had forgotten your deadlines, that somehow my silence meant disinterest. But child, what you didn't see is that your timeline was never anchored in truth. It was anchored in pain. You were measuring my faithfulness by how quickly I removed discomfort, not by how deeply I was establishing purpose. And because the pain persisted, you assumed I was late. But I've never been late. I've only ever been intentional. You see, time in the kingdom does not flow like time in the world. Heaven doesn't move by your calendar. I do not bow to your deadlines. I move by seasons, not seconds. I orchestrate by eternal timing, not emotional urgency. And while you were counting days, I was cultivating destiny. While you were marking disappointments, I was marking maturity. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like a detour was actually the direct route to depth. And yes, you hurt. Yet it stressed you. But it was working something in you that convenience never could. And when you said, "He's late," I was actually right on time, but for a time you didn't see coming. Because I wasn't preparing just the blessing, I was preparing you. The version of you I needed to emerge had to be formed in the fire of unmet expectations. The strength you walk in now, it was forged in the waiting room. The discernment you carry now, it came from learning to hear my voice when nothing else made sense. You thought delay was my denial, but I never denied you. I was designing something deeper. I was synchronizing your story with others you hadn't even met yet. I was lining up moments you couldn't predict. I was creating a divine collision that required precision. And had I rushed it to ease your pain, I would have sabotaged your purpose. So now I invite you, redefine time through my lens. Stop calling it too late. Stop cursing the seasons you don't understand. Trust me again, not based on what you feel, but on who you know I am. I am never rushed. never behind, always exact, always sovereign. And what I am about to release in your life will not come 1 second too early, but neither will it come 1 second too late. It will come when the weight of your readiness matches the weight of the promise. And when it does, you will no longer question the timing. You will praise it. Because you will see what I saw all along, that what you thought was me being late was actually me being gone. Child, I say this with love, but I say it with fire. You've been trying to go back to who you were before the shaking started, before the silence, before the closed doors, before the awakening. You've longed for the simplicity of an earlier season, the safety of spiritual innocence, the comfort of predictable patterns. But listen to me, that version of you no longer exists. That chapter is closed. That identity is shed. That mindset is obsolete. And still, you try to fit back into the clothes of a former self that I deliberately outgrew in you. But hear this now, as clearly as I can say it. It's already too late to stay the same. The moment you said yes to me, I began the process of transformation. I did not save you to make you comfortable. I saved you to conform you to my image. And once I begin a good work, I do not pause it for convenience. I do not stop at half-healed. I do not leave you half-delivered. No, I complete what I begin. And you, beloved, are already in motion. You have crossed too many thresholds. You have seen too much, heard too much, been marked too deeply. You can't go back, because back no longer exists. The door behind you has been sealed. The mantle on you is irreversible. The fire in you cannot return to ashes. And yes, I hear your fatigue. Yes, I see your hesitation. But what you call not ready, I call reborn. You were not just changed, you were chosen. You are not just evolving. You have been entrusted. And with that entrustment comes a sacred weight. You're not the same person you were before this message began. Your spirit is burning now. Your discernment is sharper. Your soul is being rearranged. And to try and go back to normal would not only dishonor the process, it would abort the promise. I didn't lead you through all that pain, all that pressing, all that pruning, just for you to settle into spiritual mediocrity. No, I raised you for impact. I trained you for territories. I refined you for realms. And now, the reason you feel that tension, that discontentment with what used to satisfy you, is because I've elevated your appetite. What used to feed you now fails you, because you're being prepared for higher tables. What once inspired you now bores you, because your anointing has grown beyond that level. And if you try to stay the same, to blend in, to shrink back, to pretend like you're still just surviving, you'll feel it in your spirit like a scream. Because it's already too late. You've been called out, set apart, marked by fire. And this world will never feel like home again, because you belong to me now. Fully, unmistakably, irreversibly. So stop asking me to restore what I remove. Stop asking for old wineskins. Stop trying to resurrect the version of you I buried, because resurrection only belongs to what I choose to raise. Now is the moment to embrace this truth with both trembling and awe. You are not who you were, and you never will be again. And that is glorious. That is holy. That is terrifying in the best way. Because now, you are a vessel of my glory. And now you are a carrier of my word. And now, you are my weapon in the earth. And you must live like it. Speak like it. Move like it. Think like it. Pray like it. Because the kingdom is moving. And your name is written in this moment. You don't have the luxury of delay anymore. You don't have the permission to live halfway. It's already too late to stay the same. And that's the best news I could ever give you. Because what's ahead of you is greater than anything you've dared to dream. It's already too late to stay the same, and that includes how you give. You've just been marked by my word. Now move with me. This ministry is not just creating videos, it's sending swords into the spirit realm, cutting chains and waking up warriors. Your giving today, through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, is not a donation. It's a divine investment. It's you saying, God, use me to carry this fire. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse and see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven. Malachi 3:10. This is your moment to fund the flames, to fuel the gospel until it burns through every boundary. Now go. Sow into the moo. And watch me multiply what leaves your hand. And as you sow, pause and listen, for I have more to show you. My child, give me a moment. Before the mountains were given their shape, before the very first star was set ablaze in the vast emptiness, I knew you. I spoke your name into the silence of eternity, not as a whisper, but as a promise. You were not an afterthought. You were the masterpiece I planned from the beginning. I knew the color of your eyes, the sound of your laughter, and the specific ache that sits in your heart right now as you listen to these words. I see the life you are living, the relentless, deafening noise that surrounds you. It's the constant ping of your phone demanding your attention. It's the pressure from your job that follows you home and sits like a weight on your chest. It is the silent argument you keep replaying in your mind, the worry about your family that gnaws at you in the quiet hours of the night. The world is screaming for a piece of you, pulling you in 1,000 different directions. And in the middle of that chaos, I am calling for just a single, intentional moment of quiet with you. So right now, I want you to stop. Cease your striving. Let go of the list of things you think you have to do. Just for this moment, stop trying to fix everything, to control everything, to be everything for everyone. Listen, not to the frantic pulse of the world that tells you you're falling behind, but to the steady, quiet whisper of your Maker. I have watched you run yourself ragged trying to earn the love and approval that I give to you freely. You feel that knot in your stomach, that constant tension in your shoulders. That is not from me. Let's undo it together. Breathe in my presence. This is not a random moment. My beloved, I have waited for this appointed time. I have seen you on your best days, and I have sat with you on the nights when you felt you had nothing left to give, when you whispered questions into your pillow, wondering if anyone truly saw the real you. This is my answer. I see you. This is our divine appointment, a meeting I scheduled before time began, to speak directly into the depths of your soul, past the walls you have built and the noise you have allowed to distract you. When I choose to speak to one of my own, all of creation holds its breath. The angels fall silent. The cosmos pauses its magnificent dance, because your heart, my child, is the stage for my most intimate work. This silence I am asking you for is not empty. It is the fertile ground, the rich, dark soil where my eternal word can finally be planted and take root within you, choking out the weeds of anxiety and fear. Give me this moment. My child, listen. You hear that sound? It is the sound of shattering. It is the sound of the things you placed your trust in turning to dust right before your eyes. You have spent so much of your life building temples to false gods, and now you are standing in the rubble. Look around you. You built a temple to your career, believing that a certain job title would finally make you feel worthy. You sacrificed your time, your peace, and sometimes your family on its altar, only for change in the economy or a new manager to show you how fragile that security truly was. The praise you received there was a temporary anesthetic, but the ache of your true identity being unknown has returned with a vengeance. You built another temple to financial security, meticulously arranging the bricks of your bank account, believing that a certain number would finally silence your fear. You checked it, you guarded it, you worried over it. Yet one unexpected medical bill, one major repair, one crisis has shown you that your fortress was made of paper. The peace you thought money could buy was nothing more than a cheap imitation of the peace I freely give. You even built a temple in the heart of another person, believing their love and affection would complete you, that their presence would fill the empty spaces within you. But people are people, my child. They are broken and beautiful, just as you are, and they were never designed to bear the weight of your worship. Now, in the silence and the distance, you feel the cold draft of that empty altar. These things were never meant to be your gods. They are the sand upon which you built your house, and the storm I have allowed has now arrived. The wind of truth is blowing, the rains of reality are falling, and the foundations are washing away. I know you are scared. I know you feel the floor giving way beneath you. It is too late to run back and find lasting refuge in these temples you built with your own hands. Their promises of security, pleasure, and power have proven to be the cruel lies I always knew they were. The crashing sound of your false gods is a painful, yet necessary, prelude. It is the noise that must happen before you can finally hear my enduring and unshakable truth. In this terrifying moment, when everything you have leaned on is collapsing, I am still standing. I am the only foundation that will never crack. I am the only rock that will never crumble beneath the weight of your life, your fears, and your hopes. Stop trying to piece together the rubble. Leave it. Turn around and step onto me. I am the solid ground you have been searching for all along. My precious one, I gave you time. I gave you seasons of opportunity, moments brimming with the potential for love, for growth, for turning your face toward me. But you let them pass by. Think about it. How many sunrises did I paint for you that you missed because you were too tired from the meaningless anxieties of the day before? How many times did you feel that gentle nudge in your heart to call a friend who was hurting, but you told yourself you were too busy? Do you remember the moments when forgiveness was an option with a family member, a chance to heal a wound that has festered for years, but you chose the cold comfort of your pride instead? Each of those moments was a gift. Every single heartbeat was a precious chance, a new invitation to connect with me, to love another, to become the person I created you to be. And now you look back, and the weight of those missed opportunities feels like a debt you can never repay. It is too late, my child, to reclaim the years squandered in the pursuit of fleeting shadows. You cannot go back to that evening and choose to be present with your children instead of staring blankly at a screen. You cannot undo the harsh words spoken in anger or reclaim the days spent worrying about a future you could not control. The currency of your life, those irreplaceable seconds and minutes, has been spent on things that perish and decay. You invested your heart in ventures that have left you spiritually bankrupt. The regret is a heavy cloak, I know. But I need you to listen to me very carefully. While you cannot go back, I can step into your now. In this very moment, as you breathe, eternity is intersecting with your timeline. You see a history of waste. I see the perfect, present moment for a miracle. You see an unpayable debt. I see a debt that has already been paid in full on a rugged cross. The past is a canceled check. It has no more currency. The only thing that matters is the breath now in your lungs and what you will do with it. Do not waste another second mourning what is gone. Hand me the wasted years, the missed chances, the deep regrets. I am the God who redeems the time. I can take the broken, wasted fragments of your past and weave them into a future more beautiful than you could have ever imagined. Your timeline is in my hands now. My child, can we talk for a moment about the path you've been on? You chose it yourself, and at the time, it seemed like the right one, didn't it? It was a wide road, full of people, and the signs all promised things your heart was crying out for: happiness, freedom, fulfillment. It was a path of self-reliance, the one that told you that you were the captain of your own soul, the master of your own fate. It made sense. It felt empowering. You poured all your energy into walking it, convinced that just around the next bend, you would find that lasting peace, the deep sense of purpose you've always searched for. You believed the world's promises, that a better job, a bigger house, more recognition, or a different relationship would finally deliver the contentment you crave. So you walked, and you strived, and you pushed forward, following the crowd. But look where you are now. Stand still for a second and just look. The road has run out. You've come to the edge of it, a place you never expected to be, and that fulfillment it promised. Where is it? You're standing at a precipice, staring into the very void you were trying to fill. The hollowness inside feels bigger than ever before. That's the great lie of that broad road, my child. It always promises an oasis, but it always ends in a desert. And what about the companions you walked with? The ones who laughed with you, the ones who encouraged you to keep chasing the next fleeting thing. Where are they now that the party is over and the light is fading? They've scattered, haven't they? They were walking for themselves, just as you were, and their paths have led them away. In this crucial moment, you find yourself utterly alone. That's another hard truth of the path you chose. It offers company, but it can never give you true communion. I can feel the panic rising in your heart. Your first instinct is to run, to try and retrace your steps, to go back and make a different choice. But I need you to hear me, and hear my heart for you in this. It is too late for that. You cannot go back. You cannot undo the choices that have led you, step by step, to this exact spot, at this exact time. Every act of rebellion, every decision born from pride that whispered, "I don't need you," was another footstep on this path. This moment, is it a punishment? Is it an appointment? Your journey, even in its wandering, was never out of my sight. I allowed you to walk to the end of your own road so that you would finally be ready to find the beginning of mine. I had to let you see for yourself that the freedom you were chasing was actually a cage. I had to let you feel the profound emptiness so your heart would be ready to be truly filled. So please, don't see this as a dead end. See it for what it is, the most important crossroad of your life. You have arrived, not at your destruction, but at the place of your deliverance. Know this, my precious child, and let it sink deep into your spirit. At the very end of your road, you find the beginning of mine. You have always been the strong one, haven't you? It's the role you took on, the label you gave yourself. You're the one who says, "Don't worry, I've got this," even when your insides are twisted with fear. You built your life with your own two hands, with your own sweat and intellect. You made the 5-year plans, you mapped out your future, and you took an immense, quiet pride in not needing to ask for help. Asking for help felt like failure. It felt weak. So you pushed through, you shouldered the burdens of others, you kept a brave face, and you relied entirely on yourself. Your own strength was your God, and for a while, it seemed to be enough. But look at yourself now. Be honest. You are tired. You are so profoundly tired, down to your very bones. The plans you made with such care have been shattered by a single phone call, a single piece of bad news, a single event that was completely outside of your control. The strength you were so proud of has run out. You feel like you are trying to hold back the ocean with a bucket, and the waves of responsibility, fear, and circumstance just keep crashing over you. You are exhausted. My beloved, this feeling of hitting a wall, this moment where your own ability has failed you, this is not your greatest failure. It is your greatest gift. It is the jarring, painful, and absolutely necessary moment when you finally realize that your own strength has limits. It was never meant to be infinite. It was never meant to carry you all the way through. It's too late to go back to pretending you have it all under control. The illusion has been shattered, and that is a terrifying thing, but it is also a merciful thing. The pride that has been your cruel and unforgiving master, the one that whispered you can do it all alone, has been exposed as a liar. The fortress of your self-reliance has crumbled, and you are standing, exposed and fragile, in the ruins. And it is here, in this place of utter weakness, that you can finally discover my strength. Only when you admit that you are completely blind, that you have no idea which way to turn, can you stop squinting in the dark and finally receive my sight. Surrender is not defeat. It is the beginning of true victory. So stop fighting. Let go of the illusion of control. Open your trembling hands and say the words you have been so afraid to say. I can't. And in that honest, broken-hearted surrender, you will feel me take over. My child, pause here, but do not leave me. We have just reached the heart of the matter, the very reason I called you into this quiet place. To turn away now, in this moment of your deepest need, would be to leave my hand outstretched in the silence. Do not grieve my spirit by walking away from the healing I am just about to offer. Stay, there is so much more I must tell you. I know that the title of our conversation hath been echoing in your heart. My child, give me a moment, it's already too late for you. It sounds so final, doesn't it? It sounds like a judgment. Like a heavy, iron door slamming shut, locking you out forever. That is how the world uses those words. That is how your fear, and the enemy of your soul, wants you to hear them. It's the voice of condemnation that tells you you've missed your chance, that you've made too many mistakes, that you've wandered too far and there is no way back. It wants you to believe that you are a lost cause. But now I need you to lean in closer. I need you to quiet your heart and listen to my definition, the definition of the king of an upside-down kingdom. When I say, it is too late, I am not pronouncing your sentence. I am declaring your freedom. Listen to my heart. It is too late for the old version of you, the one driven by fear and pride, to continue running your life into the ground. It is too late for the lies you have believed about yourself, that you are unworthy, unlovable, or not good enough to have the final word over you. It is too late for the sin and the shame of your past to hold you in chains, because the key has already turned in the lock. It is too late for the enemy to claim final victory over you, because that victory was won for you on a hill called Calvary 2,000 years ago. My understanding of time is not like yours. You see a straight line of cause and effect, of sunrises and sunsets, of clocks ticking toward a final end. I inhabit eternity. I can stand at the end of your life and the beginning of it at the same moment. So what feels to you like a final, desperate end is, from my perspective, the most glorious and perfect start. You feel that your life has unraveled. I see that the old, tattered garment is finally being removed so I can clothe you in something new. I am not closing a door on you, my child. I am closing the door on your prison. This is the death of your old self, a death I have come to mercifully bring about, so that you can finally, truly, begin to live. This is not the end of your story. I am just turning the page to chapter 1. My child, let's talk about the past. It feels like a shadow that follows you everywhere, doesn't it? No matter how fast you run, it's always right there behind you. In your quiet moments, it whispers your greatest failures back to you. It has a full-length feature film of your worst moments, and it loves to play it in the theater of your mind when you are at your weakest. It reminds you of that lie you told, that relationship you broke, that promise you didn't keep, that moment of weakness you prayed no one would ever discover. The voice of the accuser is relentless. It tells you, remember what you did. You are disqualified. You are permanently stained. A person like you can never be truly used by God. If people knew who you really were, they would turn away. It's a heavy, condemning voice, and it has been your constant companion for years. But I want you to listen to another sound. It is the sound of my mercy, and it is a rushing wind, a consuming fire. It moves faster than your shadow of regret. It is swifter than your swiftest accusation. My mercy doesn't just run alongside you, it runs ahead of you, behind you, and all around you. It doesn't just cover your past, my child. It completely consumes it. Think of a raging forest fire. It doesn't just hide the dead leaves and broken branches on the forest floor. It burns them away completely, turning them into ash that enriches the soil for new growth. That is what my mercy does to your sin. It is too late for your past to disqualify you from my presence, because your past no longer exists in my sight. You keep looking back at it, but I have already cast it as far as the east is from the west. Can you measure that distance? No. It is an infinite, eternal separation. The accuser, the enemy of your soul, loves to act like a prosecuting attorney, trying to bring a case against you in the courts of heaven. He comes with a long list of your every wrongdoing. But what he fails to understand is that the case has already been thrown out. The evidence he wants to use, your sin, was nailed to a cross. The judge of all creation has already slammed the gavel and declared the verdict over you: forgiven, redeemed, pardoned, mine. My son's blood speaks a better, louder, and more definitive word over you than all your accusations combined. So, stop looking back. There is nothing there for you. The cross now stands as a permanent, immovable barrier between who you were and who you are now. It is too late for your history to define your destiny. Look at your hands for a moment. Metaphorically, they are calloused and sore from a lifetime of trying so hard. You have spent so much of your life trying to be good enough, haven't you? Trying to be good enough for your parents, for your friends, for your job, and especially trying to be good enough for me. You have this invisible scale in your mind, and you're constantly trying to pile up enough good deeds on one side to outweigh the bad deeds on the other. You volunteer, you try to be kind, you follow the rules, you work hard, hoping that if you just add one more thing to the scale, it will finally tip in your favor, and you will feel worthy of my love. You are carrying a heavy backpack, and it is stuffed full of your own efforts at righteousness. It is heavy with your attempts to prove your worth, and you are getting so tired from the strain of it all. My beloved child, I need you to hear this. I never asked you to carry that. I never asked you to earn my love. A love that must be earned is not love at all. It is a wage, a transaction. What I offer you is a gift. You've been desperately trying to build a ladder to me, thinking that if you just make the rungs out of enough good works and sincere efforts, you will eventually be able to climb your way into my presence. But you keep slipping. The rungs keep breaking, and you are exhausted from the climb. It is too late, my child, to keep building that ladder. It will never reach me. But here is the most glorious news in the universe. You do not need a ladder, because I have already built a bridge. I built it from my side to yours. It is strong and perfect, and its foundation is the finished work of my Son. He is the way, the only way. Your part is not to build, but simply to walk across. So, I am asking you now, in this moment of grace, to stop. Stop striving. Stop trying to impress me. Take off the heavy backpack of your own efforts and let it fall to the ground. Lay down the tools of your self-righteousness. They cannot build a home for your soul. Simply open your hands. My grace is not a reward for your effort. It is a divine rescue from the futility of it. It is my hand reaching down to you when you are drowning, not a trophy I give you for swimming well. Stop trying to earn what I have already and freely given. Just receive. You are a thoughtful person. You try to make sense of the world. You read books. You listen to experts. You follow the news. You try to understand why people are the way they are, why your own heart works the way it does. You have looked for answers in psychology, in philosophy, in self-help manuals, and in the prevailing opinions of your culture. You have pieced together a framework of worldly wisdom that helps you navigate your life. And to a point, it has been useful. It has given you categories and labels. It has helped you understand certain patterns. But be honest, it has also left you feeling empty, hasn't it? It has left you with more questions than answers. The wisdom of the world feels like trying to navigate a vast, dark ocean with a tiny, flickering candle. It can show you the next wave, but it can show you the shoreline. It can describe your brokenness with remarkable accuracy, but it has no power to make you whole. It is too late, my child, to find the ultimate answers you are looking for in human equations and theories. You can analyze your past for a lifetime, but analysis alone will not heal it. You can strategize for a perfect future, but a strategy cannot grant you peace in the present. You have come to the end of what human intellect can offer you. And here, at the bankruptcy of worldly wisdom, I offer you mine. Now, my wisdom looks like foolishness to the world. It is an upside-down wisdom. It says the way up is to go down. It says to be strong, you must become weak. It says to live, you must die to yourself. And at its very center is the greatest foolishness of all. A cross. A suffering God. A king who serves and dies for his enemies. It makes no logical sense to the proud mind. But in that foolishness is a power and a wisdom so profound it can reorder your entire universe. True wisdom does not begin in a library. It begins on your knees. It begins in the simple, humble, and terrifying admission that you do not have the answers. It begins in the fear and reverence of me. I am inviting you now to let your mind be renewed. Allow me to wash away the patterns of the world and replace them with the living, breathing, life-giving truth of my word. Let go of what you think you know, and I will show you what is real. Look at the world around you, my child. Turn on the news, scroll through your feed. It's a constant storm of chaos, isn't it? One crisis bleeds into the next. Economies shake, nations rage against one another, and political leaders you once trusted reveal their human flaws. The culture shifts like sand under your feet, and what was celebrated yesterday is condemned today. It is perfectly natural to feel afraid in the middle of all this. It's a human instinct to search for something solid, something secure to hold on to. And so you place your hope in earthly kingdoms. You might not call them that, but that is what they are. You put your hope in a political party, believing that if they are in power, things will finally be safe. Your heart soars when they win and plummets into despair when they lose. You put your hope in your nation, in its strength and its ideals. You put your hope in man-made institutions, believing they can solve the deep, spiritual problems of humanity. You have poured so much of your emotional energy, your hope, and your fear into these temporary, fragile kingdoms. But my beloved, they are all just grass. They look strong and green in their season, but they will wither under the sun. They are flowers that fade. It is too late to pledge your ultimate allegiance to a throne that will one day be thrown down. It is too late to wrap your identity in a flag that will one day be dust. I did not create you to find your ultimate security in these things. I am calling you to lift your gaze higher. I am inviting you to become a citizen of a different kingdom. My kingdom. It is an unshakable, eternal, and righteous reign that is not built on votes or armies or economies. My kingdom is built on love, and its king is my son. It cannot be shaken. It cannot be overthrown. When you seek this kingdom first, when its values become your values, and its king your king, everything else starts to fall into its proper place. The terrifying power of the world's chaos begins to shrink. The news headlines no longer have the power to steal your peace, because your true citizenship is in heaven. You are an ambassador of an eternal country, and you are just passing through this one. Your true home is secure. Your true king is on the throne, and his kingdom will have no end. I know this is difficult. I have just shown you the futility of everything the world has told you to trust. But do not let the discomfort of this truth push you away from me now. It would wound my heart for you to see only the rubble of the old and not stay to witness the unshakable kingdom I am about to build in its place. The hardest part is over. Please, stay with me. The hope I have for you is just ahead. You see now that the kingdoms of this world are fading, but my kingdom is eternal. If your heart burns to see this unshakable kingdom advance, then I give you this prophetic charge. As my ambassador, you are called to fund the work of heaven on earth, to turn your temporary earthly resources into an eternal harvest of souls. I say to you, test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing so great you cannot contain it. This is your divine appointment to carry this living water to souls dying of thirst in the desert of this world. I will multiply what you sow, and it will become a river of life for many. Sow your seed into this good ground now. When you think of me, my child, what is the image that comes to your mind? For so many, including you at times, I am a god of the past. I am a character in a book of well-worn stories, a historical figure associated with miracles that happened a long time ago. You read about what I did, parting a sea, calming a storm, healing the blind, and you revere it as something that happened back then, to other people. You study my past actions, but you have forgotten that my very nature is to be present. You have forgotten that my name is not I was. My name is I am. I am not a memory. I am not a historical fact to be debated. I am a living, breathing, present reality. I am not imprisoned in the stories you read. I am the author who is still speaking, who is speaking to your heart right at this very moment. I want you to understand this. Really let it sink in. The very same power that spoke the galaxies into existence is the power that is sustaining your every heartbeat. The same creative force that formed man from the dust of the earth is the force that can create a new and clean heart within you. The same resurrection power that rolled the stone away from the tomb and conquered death itself is the power that is available to you today to conquer the anxiety, the addiction, the despair that has held you captive. It is not a lesser, watered-down version of my power. It is the same power. And those promises you read in my word, they did not come with an expiration date. They were not just for Abraham or Moses or David or Paul. They have your name written on them in the ink of my covenant. They are yes and amen for you, for your life, for your family, for your situation, right now. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I am the God who knows the number of hairs on your head. I am the God who knows your name, who hears your prayers, who sees your tears. Stop treating me like a distant legend. Invite me into the reality of your Tuesday afternoon. I am here. I am with you. And I am ready to do in your life what I have always done, the impossible. My child, you know what it feels like to be let down. You live in a world of broken promises. You've seen contracts with fine print that gets exploited. You've had people look you in the eye and give you their word, only to see it dissolve when circumstances changed or it was no longer convenient for them. Human promises, even the most well-intentioned ones, are brittle. They are written in ink on paper that can be burned, torn, or simply fade with time. You have learned to be cynical about promises, to protect your heart from the inevitable disappointment. And because of that, you have assumed that my promise to you is the same kind of fragile thing. You think it is a contract, a deal between two parties where I will hold up my end only as long as you perfectly hold up yours. You live in constant fear that you will mess up badly enough to void the agreement. That one more failure will be the final breach of contract, and I will walk away. It is this fear that has kept you striving, that has kept you trying to be perfect, because you think my love is conditional upon your performance. But I need you to understand something that will change everything. The promise I made to you, the covenant I have with you, was not written in ink. It was written in the blood of my own Son. Think about what that means. It can fade, but his blood has a permanent voice. Paper can be torn, but his life given for you and raised again is an unbreakable seal. This is not a business contract. It is a testament. It is a will. When someone leaves a will, the inheritance is not based on what the beneficiary does, but on what the one who wrote the will has already done. Your inheritance of grace, forgiveness, and eternal life is not based on your performance. It is based entirely on the finished work of Jesus. Your name is written into this testament of love, and it cannot be erased. So listen to me now, and let this truth silence your fear. It is too late for your failures to annul my sacred promise. It is too late for the mistake you made this morning, or the sin you are struggling with this very week, to make me tear up the agreement. Your failures were already factored in. They were paid for on the cross before you ever committed them. The blood of Jesus speaks a better word over you than your sin does. Your sin whispers guilty, but the blood shouts forgiven. Your sin whispers unworthy, but the blood shouts cherished. This covenant is unbreakable because it does not depend on your faithfulness but on mine. Because of the harshness you've experienced in the world, and perhaps because of the stern and distant fathers you have seen, you have created an image of me in your mind that is not accurate. You see me as a perpetually disappointed, comic judge. You imagine me on a throne, tapping my fingers, watching you with a critical eye, just waiting for you to stumble and fall. When you sin, you brace for the gavel of my wrath. You expect condemnation. You imagine my voice as a thunder of anger, listing all of your faults. But that is an image painted by your fear, not by my truth. I want you to look past that distorted picture and see my real face. I want you to hear my real voice. My heart for you does not hold a gavel. It holds a profound and endless yearning for you. I am the father in the story, the one who, every single day, stands on the porch and scans the horizon, not looking for a reason to condemn his lost child, but desperately hoping for the slightest sign that they are coming home. That is my heart for you. Every moment of every day I am waiting with open arms. And the plans I have for you, you have been so afraid of them, thinking they are plans to test you, to break you, to demand the impossible from you. But my word is true. I know the plans I have for you, and they are plans for welfare and not for evil, plans to give you a future and a hope. Before you were even a thought in your mother's womb, I was designing a divine and beautiful purpose for your life. I have never had a single thought of evil or harm toward you. My thoughts toward you are like an endless ocean of peace. So when you hear the urgency in my voice in this conversation, when you feel the press of my spirit on your heart, I beg you not to mistake it for anger. It is the urgent cry of a father who sees his beloved child sleeping soundly in a house that has caught on fire. I am not shouting at you in rage. I am shouting to you in rescue. I am breaking the windows and kicking down the doors of your complacency and sin, not to hurt you, but to save you from what will destroy you. My urgency is my love in action. It's the cry of a father who refuses to let his child perish, calling you out of the smoke and into the safety of my arms. The world you live in feels like it is spinning faster and faster, completely out of control. It's a dizzying, disorienting experience, isn't it? The headlines on your phone are a constant stream of chaos and crisis. The economy feels shaky. The political landscape is a battlefield, and the culture shifts like desert sands, where what was considered solid ground yesterday is a sinkhole today. It feels like you are on a small, fragile boat in the middle of a raging sea, tossed about by violent waves of uncertainty and fear. And in the middle of that storm, your natural human instinct is to grab onto something, anything, that feels solid. You try to anchor yourself to your job, but you know in your heart that a job can be lost in a single day. You try to anchor yourself to your relationships, but you know that people, as much as you love them, can change or leave. You try to anchor yourself to your own strength and your own opinions, but you have learned that your strength fails and your opinions can be shaken by new information or new experiences. Everything you try to hold on to shifts. Everything gives way. The storm is relentless. But in the midst of that raging, chaotic sea, there is one place that is perfectly calm. There is one thing that does not move. I am the Lord. I do not change. My character is not in flux. My love for you does not depend on the cultural trends or the political climate. My faithfulness is not subject to the whims of the economy. Yesterday, when you were at your best, I loved you. Today, in the middle of your struggle, I love you. And tomorrow, whatever it may bring, I will still love you. I am the one constant in a universe of endless variables. I am your unshakable reality. So when the waves of anxiety about the future crash over the side of your boat, when the winds of chaos threaten to tear your sails, you have an anchor. This anchor is not a thing, it is a person. You can drop the anchor of your soul deep into my unchanging character. Let the world rage. Let the storms come. The soul that is anchored in me will not be swept away. It will not be overcome. It will be held fast and secure, not because the sea has grown calm, but because the anchor holds. There have been seasons in your life, perhaps even recently, where you have tried to run from me. Let's be honest about it. After a particularly painful failure, when you were filled with shame, your instinct was to hide. You tried to make yourself small, to slip into the shadows of your own life, hoping I would not see you. You have run to distractions, to endless work, to meaningless entertainment, to noise, to anything that would drown out the quiet whisper of my voice in your heart. You have tried to put distance between us, believing that you could manage your guilt better if you just kept me at arm's length. You have even tried to run from me by surrounding yourself with people who do not know me, thinking their unbelief could insulate you from my truth. But I have a question for you, my child, the same one I have asked my children for millennia. Where could you possibly go from my spirit? Where can you flee from my presence? If you could climb to the highest, most distant star in the cosmos, I am already there. If you could make your bed in the deepest, darkest pit of despair and hopelessness, you would find that I am there with you too. There is no corner of the universe, and no hidden, shameful corner of your own heart, where my love cannot find you. This is something you must understand. My love for you is not a passive, light feeling. It is not a take it or leave it offer that sits on a table waiting for you to decide. It is a relentless, pursuing, and rescuing love. It is an active and powerful force. It is the love of a shepherd who counts his sheep and finds that one is missing. It is the love that leaves the 99 who are safe in the fold and ventures out into the dangerous, dark wilderness to search for the one who is lost, tangled, and afraid. You, my child, are that one. In every season of your wandering, you have been that one. And I have always come for you. So I say to you now, you can stop running. It is a futile and exhausting effort. It is too late to escape the grasp of a love that has already walked out of a tomb for you. It is too late to outrun a God who has already paid the ultimate price to bring you home. My love will not let you go. Can you feel the truth of my relentless love for you? I have pursued you, and I will not let you go. To truly know this and yet turn away would be to treat my ultimate sacrifice as a small thing. Do not break my heart by receiving this great love without understanding how to walk in it. I have brought you this far for a reason. Listen a little longer, I must show you the first step. Look at your hands again, my child. For your entire life, you have held the reins of your own destiny in a tight, white-knuckled grip. You have been in the driver's seat, believing that you knew the best route, that you could navigate the twists and turns of life through your own effort and your own wisdom. You've been driving for a long time. But where has it gotten you? You are tired of being in control, aren't you? You are exhausted, and you are profoundly lost. I am here now, at the end of your road, and I am offering to take the wheel. But here is the difficult truth. You cannot take a single step toward me. You cannot begin to walk on my path while you are still clutching the reins of your own life. You cannot have me as your guide if you are still insisting on using your own map. The world has taught you that surrender is the ultimate act of defeat. It equates surrender with weakness, with giving up, with losing. But in my upside-down kingdom, absolute surrender is the first and most crucial step to ultimate victory. It is the single greatest act of strength you will ever perform. It is the moment you finally stop fighting a battle you were never meant to win on your own. I am asking you today to do the thing that terrifies you the most. I am asking you to let go. Let go of your carefully crafted plans for the future. Let go of what you believe you have a right to, your comfort, your reputation, your desires. Let go of the defensive walls you have built around your heart to keep from being hurt. Let go of that polished, capable image you work so hard to project to the world. Let it all fall from your hands. It is in that moment of surrender, in the terrifying and liberating instant when you feel you have absolutely nothing left, that you will finally discover my strength rushing in to fill you. It is in your weakness that my power is made perfect. So, hand me the broken pieces of your life. Don't try to fix them first. Don't try to make them presentable. Just give me the shattered fragments of your will, your dreams, and your heart. I am the master potter. My specialty is making beautiful things from what has been broken. Your surrender is not an end. It is the clay finally, and wisely, yielding to the potter's hands. My child, I need to talk to you about a word that I know makes you uncomfortable. It's the word repentance. When you hear it, your shoulders tense up. You immediately think of shame, of being scolded, of groveling on the floor feeling terrible about yourself. You equate it with that sick feeling in the pit of your stomach when you've been caught doing something wrong. But that feeling isn't repentance, that's just the sorrow of consequences. That's the fear of being found out. It's a worldly sorrow that is centered on you and your discomfort. The repentance I am calling you to is something completely different. It is quieter, deeper, and infinitely more healing. I want you to think of it this way. It is a U-turn of the heart. Imagine you have been walking for miles down a road you were convinced was right, but it has only led you into a barren, lonely desert. All this time, I have been calling your name from behind you. Repentance is the moment you finally stop. You quiet the noise, you look at the desolate landscape around you, and you humbly agree with me that you are on the wrong path. It's not about beating yourself up for the miles you've already walked. It's about the simple, powerful decision to turn around and start walking toward the sound of my voice, back toward home. It is a change of mind that leads to a change of direction. It is turning your back on the fleeting, counterfeit pleasures of darkness and setting your face toward my marvelous, fulfilling light. This is not a one-time act that you perform to get out of trouble, something to be checked off a list. It is the daily posture of a surrendered heart. It's the little U-turns you make throughout your day, when you turn from a selfish thought to a generous one, when you turn from an anxious worry to a trusting prayer, when you turn from a harsh word to a gentle answer. Each turn aligns your heart more closely with mine. You do not need to be afraid of this process, because it is the path to freedom. And you need to know this. Deep in your soul, a heart that is broken over its own waywardness, a spirit that is contrite and willing to turn back to me, that is a heart I will never, ever despise. In fact, it is the only kind of heart I can truly heal and make new. For your whole life, you have been trained to live by what you can see. It is the wisdom of the world. Trust the Deum. Trust the evidence. Trust your five senses. Trust your own logic and your own understanding. You operate on the principle that if you can't see it, touch it, or measure it, it probably isn't real. You have built a life on the foundation of the tangible, the provable, and the logical. And in many areas of your life, that has served you. But it can only take you so far. The deepest realities of existence, love, hope, peace, and me, cannot be put under a microscope. And so, I am calling you now to a higher way of living, a different way of seeing. I am inviting you to begin to live by faith, not by sight. Now I know that word, faith, can also be frightening. You think it means a blind leap into a dark, empty abyss. You imagine it as closing your eyes, gritting your teeth, and just hoping for the best, with no evidence and no reason. But that is not what my faith is. Faith is not a blind leap. It is a trust fall. It is the blessed assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not yet seen. It's not about believing in something you have no reason to believe in. It is about placing your trust in someone you have every reason to trust. It is the deep, settled confidence in my character, based on the evidence of my love you see all around you, and the testimony of my Son. It is like a small child, standing on the edge of a swimming pool. The child cannot swim. The water is deep. From a logical perspective, jumping would be foolish. But the child jumps without a moment's hesitation. Why? Not because of a blind leap into the unknown, but because he sees his father in the water, with strong arms open and waiting, saying, "Jump to me. I will catch you." The child is not trusting in the unseen water. He is placing his confident trust in the character of the one he knows loves him. That is faith. And you worry that your faith is too small, too weak, too full of doubt. But I tell you, you do not need a great faith to be saved. You only need a little faith in a great God. Even a faith as small and seemingly insignificant as a mustard seed has the power to connect you to my infinite power, a power that can move the mountains of fear and anxiety in your life. The size of your faith is not what matters. The one you place it in is everything. So place your small, trembling hand of faith into my large, steady one. Trust me. That is all I ask. Let's use our imagination for a moment. Imagine you have received an invitation to the most glorious wedding feast ever held. It is being hosted by the King of the universe for his son. You know that to attend is the greatest honor possible. But then you look down at yourself. You have spent your life making your way through a muddy, broken world. Your clothes are not just dirty, they are filthy rags. They are stained with your past mistakes, torn by your compromises, and they carry the stench of your secret sins. These are the garments of your own self-effort, your best attempts at being a good person, and they are utterly insufficient for the presence of a holy king. Your first, panicked instinct is to try and clean yourself up. You try to patch the biggest holes. You try to scrub out the most obvious stains. You try to make yourself presentable. But every effort you make only seems to smear the filth around, making it worse. You are standing there, filled with shame, knowing you are completely unfit to enter the feast. You are about to turn away in despair, convinced that you will never be worthy to go in. But then, the king himself walks out of the palace to meet you right where you are, in the middle of your mess. He does not look at you with disgust or disappointment. He looks at you with profound love. He does not scold you or hand you a bar of soap. He simply removes his own magnificent outer robe, and he holds it out to you. It is a brilliant, pure white garment, woven from the seamless, perfect, sinless life of his own son. And he says to you, with tears of joy in his eyes, "Take off those rags. Let me clothe you in this. My child, this robe is my righteousness. It is not a wage you have earned through your frantic cleaning efforts. It is a free gift that you can only receive. It is too late for you to make yourself clean enough or good enough to be in my presence. But the good news is, you don't have to. You only need to be willing to let go of your filthy rags and let me clothe you. And from that moment on, when I, the great king, look at you, I will no longer see your stained and tattered past. I will only see the spotless, perfect righteousness of my son. You will be clothed in an honor, a beauty, and an acceptance that you could never, ever achieve on your own. You will be welcomed into the feast not because of what you have done, but because of what he has done for you. The word religion likely carries some heavy baggage for you. It probably brings to mind a cold, stone building. You think of a long list of do's and don'ts that feels impossible to keep. You think of rituals performed without heart, of judgment from people who seem to have it all together, of the pressure to act a certain way, to say the right things, to pretend you are something you are not. You think of trying to please a distant, angry God by checking off boxes on a spiritual to-do list. If that is what you think I want from you, then you have profoundly misunderstood my heart. I did not create you to be a slave to a system of rules. I did not design you for the exhausting, joyless treadmill of religious performance. I created you for something infinitely better. I created you for a relationship, for an intimate, personal fellowship, for a deep and unending communion, for a love story. I want to walk with you and talk with you. I want you to tell me about your day. I want to hear what makes you happy and what makes you afraid. I want to hear the sound of your voice. For centuries, humanity has been trying to build a tower of religion to reach me. It's an exhausting, futile effort, stacking up bricks of good works and self-denial, always falling short. But what you have failed to see is that while you were busy trying to build your way up to me, I was already on my way down to you. Jesus is not another set of rules. He is my successful rescue mission. He is me, coming down to meet you in the middle of your mess, to sit with you in your brokenness, and to bring you home. My son did not die on a cross to make you more religious. He died to make you my child. He died to tear the thick curtain that separated us, to throw the doors of the throne room wide open, and to bring you right into my immediate family. I do not want you to see me as a distant, impersonal deity or a cosmic force. I want you to know me by my most intimate name. In the language my sons spoke on earth, a small, beloved child would call their father Abba. It's a word of complete trust, of tender affection. It means Daddy. That is who I am inviting you to know. I am not a taskmaster. I am not a judge waiting to condemn you. I am your Abba, your father, and I am waiting for you to come home. You are home now, my child. You are in the family. It would sadden me deeply if our conversation ended here, with you only knowing you are accepted but not knowing the miraculous transformation that acceptance brings. The invitation is just the beginning of our story together. Do not dishonor my welcome by remaining at the doorway. Come further in. I am about to tell you who you truly are now. My child, you have been invited not into a religion, but into my very family. If my call for this intimate relationship has set your heart ablaze, then I now invite you to partner in the family's work, which is rescue. Your offering is not a religious duty. It is the joyful response of a son or daughter helping to set the banquet table for others who are still lost and starving. I declare over you my promise: give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will I pour into your lap. Do not let this holy fire cool. Become the hands that deliver this invitation to my other lost children. Act on this loving impulse now. You have tried to change yourself, haven't you? So many times. You have made New Year's resolutions. You have started new habits. You have promised yourself and others, this time will be different. This time I will be more patient. This time I will stop that habit. This time I will be a better person. You have put in so much effort, using all of your willpower to try and turn over a new leaf. But what has been the result? You might succeed for a little while, a week, maybe even a month. But eventually, the old patterns, the old anger, the old anxieties, the old habits come creeping back in, and you are left feeling like a failure, more discouraged than when you started. It feels like you are just rearranging the furniture in the same old, broken down house. You can move a chair, buy a new lamp, but the foundation is still cracked, the roof still leaks, and the dry rot is still in the walls. My beloved, what I am offering you today is not a self-help program. It is not a renovation project. I am not here to give you tips on how to patch the walls or paint over the stains of your old life. I am here to do something infinitely more radical. I am here to demolish the old house completely and build something brand new in its place. The Bible says it clearly. If anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. The old life, with all its failures, its shame, its patterns of sin, has passed away. It is gone. Behold, all things have become new. This is not just turning over a new leaf. This is being given an entirely new life. It is nothing less than a spiritual heart transplant. I will literally reach into your chest and take out your old, stubborn, wounded, cynical heart of stone. A heart that has grown hard and unresponsive to me. And in its place, I will give you a new one. A living, breathing, responsive heart of flesh. a heart that can truly feel my love, a heart that can beat in a new rhythm of grace and peace, a heart that is tender toward me. This is the miracle I am offering you. From this moment forward, if you accept this gift, you are no longer defined by your past. You are not your worst mistake. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not who you used to be. You are a new creation, and your new, permanent, unchangeable identity is this: beloved child of the living God. The old you is gone. It's too late for that person to ever come back. For so long, my child, you have been asking that fundamental question that haunts every human heart. Why am I here? What is my purpose? It's a noble search, a hunger I myself placed within you. You have tried to satisfy it in so many ways. You looked for your purpose in your career, didn't you? You thought if you could just achieve a certain level of success, make a name for yourself, or make a tangible impact, then you would finally feel that your life mattered. You have worked so hard, chasing that feeling. You have also looked for it in your family, pouring your very being into your children or your partner, believing that your purpose was to be the perfect parent, the perfect spouse. Your love for them is beautiful, but you've discovered that even they cannot bear the weight of being your entire reason for existence. You've looked for it in personal achievements, running a marathon, learning a new skill, traveling to new places, hoping that the next goal you conquered would bring with it a lasting sense of meaning. But each time you've arrived at what you thought was the destination, you've found that the feeling of purpose was temporary, a mist that vanishes when the sun comes up, and the deep, quiet ache of "is this all there is?" has remained. You have been looking for a great treasure, but you have been digging in the wrong fields. Your one, true purpose, the one I designed for you in eternity, is both much simpler and infinitely more profound than you have ever imagined. Your purpose is this: to know me, to love me, and to allow my love to be the lens through which you see the world and the force through which you live your life. That is the foundation of everything. And from that foundation, everything else you are finds its meaning. That unique way you have with people, the way you can make them feel seen and heard. That is my love flowing through you. That specific talent you have for creating, for organizing, for teaching, for serving. That was not a random gift. I gave it to you specifically as a tool for you to reflect my character to the world. You are my workmanship, my poem, my masterpiece, and you were created in Christ Jesus for the good works that I have already prepared for you to walk in. This means your life is not a random series of events. Your past pain is not meaningless. Your future is not a blank page. It is a vital chapter in my grand, unfolding story of redemption. And here is the great paradox, the beautiful, upside-down truth of my kingdom. The moment you stop frantically trying to find yourself and build your own legacy, and you begin to lose your self-centered life for my sake, is the very moment you will, for the first time, truly find your life. Now that you have turned your face toward me, now that you have decided to step onto my path, I can feel a new fear rising in your heart. You are thinking, how can I possibly do this? How can I live this new life? The world is a hard and hostile place. My own weaknesses are so strong. I'm going to fail. You are afraid that I have rescued you only to leave you on the shore to find your own way home, to walk this new and narrow path alone. You fear you will be left an orphan, and your fear is understandable. But I have a promise for you, a promise that is the bedrock of your new life, a promise of constant companionship and supernatural power. I will not leave you as an orphan in this world. I will not abandon you. I have sent my own Spirit, the very essence of who I am, the Comforter, to come and make his home inside of you. I want you to truly grasp the wonder of this. The God of the universe has not just called you to follow him from a distance. He has chosen to take up residence within you. My spirit is not a vague, mystical force or a tingly feeling. He is a person. He is your ever-present helper. When you are confused and do not know which way to turn, he will be your guide, whispering the right path to your heart. When you are tempted to fall back into old patterns of sin, he will be your conviction, the gentle but firm check in your spirit. When your heart is breaking and you feel you cannot go on, he will be your comforter, holding you with a peace that the world cannot comprehend. When you are at a loss for words in prayer, he will intercede for you with a depth you cannot articulate. He is your personal counselor, your advocate, your greatest friend. And he is not weak. I want you to think about this for a moment. The very same power that surged through the cold, dead body of my son in a stone tomb, a power so explosive it shattered the chains of death itself and brought him back to life, that same, exact, death-defeating, resurrection power now lives and works in you. It is the power to break the addiction. It is the power to heal the broken relationship. It is the power to walk in love when you want to respond in anger. You are not fighting your battles with your own limited, exhausted willpower anymore. You are a holy temple, a sacred space where the living God dwells. You are never, ever alone. The world you live in is in a desperate, frantic search for peace. And the world has its own definition of what peace is. For the world, peace is a fragile state of calm that depends entirely on your external circumstances. It is the absence of conflict. You feel at peace when the bills are all paid, when the doctor's report comes back clear, when your children are behaving, when your relationships are smooth, and when there is no drama on the horizon. It is a peace that is as unstable as the stock market and as unpredictable as the weather. The moment a new storm appears, the moment a new conflict arises, the moment you receive a piece of bad news, that fragile, circumstantial peace is shattered, and you are left with anxiety and fear once again. But the peace I give to you, my beloved, is of a completely different nature. It is not something you can find in the world, because it does not come from the world. My peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the overwhelming presence of me in the middle of your trouble. It is not a circumstance, it is a person. My son is the Prince of Peace. Therefore, the peace I offer you is not the absence of the storm. It is the supernatural calm in the very center of the storm. I am giving you a peace that will stand like a powerful, armed guard at the door of your heart and your mind. When the thoughts of what if try to invade your mind, this peace will hold them back. When the waves of anxiety about your future try to crash into your heart, this peace will be your unbreakable seawall. This does not mean that the storms of life will suddenly cease. You will still face trials. You will still encounter difficulties. But it does mean that you can be held, safe and secure, in my unshakable presence while the winds of circumstance rage all around you. And here is the key, the secret to living in this peace. You will be kept in perfect peace when you keep your mind stayed on me, trusting in me. It is a conscious choice you make, moment by moment. It is the choice to turn your focus away from the size of your waves and onto the size of your God. It is the choice to stop listening to the voice of fear and to tune your ear to the voice of my promises. My peace I give to you is a gift. It is not like the cheap, temporary peace the world offers. So let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Just as you have been chasing the world's version of peace, you have also spent your life chasing happiness. You've looked for it in achievements, in possessions, in experiences, in people. And you have certainly found it, in moments. The thrill of a new purchase, the beauty of a sunset, a fun night out with friends, a moment of praise for a job well done. These things bring a feeling of happiness. But you have learned that this happiness is like a bubble, shimmering and beautiful for a moment, but incredibly fragile. It pops the instant your circumstances change. A critical word, a financial setback, a difficult day, and the feeling of happiness is gone, leaving you searching for the next experience to reinflate it. It is an exhausting, endless cycle. But the joy I give to you is something else entirely. It is not a bubble. It is a deep, underground well of living water inside of you. Worldly happiness is a fleeting emotion that depends on what is happening to you. But my joy is a deep, abiding strength that depends only on who is living in you. It is a joy that can coexist with tears. It is a strength that could be present in the middle of pain and loss. It is a defiant hope that shines brightest in the dark. It is a joy that the world cannot give you, and because of that, the world can never, ever take it away. So where does this unshakable joy come from? It flows from the truth of your new reality. It is the profound, soul-settling joy of knowing, down to the marrow of your bones, that your sins, all of them, are forgiven and forgotten. It is the exhilarating, heart-soaring joy of knowing that you have been fully and permanently adopted, not as a servant who is always on probation, but as a beloved son or daughter in the family of God, with all the rights and inheritance that come with it. It is the sustaining joy that comes from the constant, moment-by-moment awareness of my presence with you. You are never alone. And it is the defiant joy that comes from the certain hope of a future glory with me, a glory so magnificent it will make even the most painful of your current troubles seem like a light and momentary affliction. This joy, my child, is not a suggestion or a pleasant feeling to hope for. It is a spiritual weapon. It is your strength. So, in the face of your struggles, choose joy. Not because your problems are gone, but because I am with you in the middle of them. This peace, this joy, this is your inheritance. I have laid it all out before you. It would grieve me beyond words for you to see this great feast prepared for you, to hear my heart poured out like this, and then to simply walk away unchanged. We are at the most critical moment. Everything we have spoken of leads to this. Stay with me now, for I am about to formally extend the invitation that will define your eternity. So, after all of this, after our entire conversation, it all comes down to this single, quiet, profound moment. Right now, as you hear these words, I want you to picture me standing at the door of your heart. Can you see me? I am not a distant, intimidating figure. I am the one whose hands formed you, the one whose love for you is fierce and unending. And I am knocking. Listen. Can you hear it? It is not a loud, demanding bang. It is not the sound of me trying to break the door down or force my way in. It is a gentle, persistent, and loving knock. The handle is on your side of the door. I will not violate your will. I am waiting to be invited in. I have sent out the invitation to the greatest celebration the universe will ever know, the wedding feast for my son. The table is set with a feast that will satisfy every hunger of your soul. The hall is filled with light and music and laughter. It is a celebration of love, of forgiveness, of homecoming. And it cost me everything to prepare it for you. The invitation went out to everyone, to the whole world. But so many, my child, are too busy. They read the invitation and they make excuses. One says, I'm too busy with my career right now, I'll come later. Another says, I'm too preoccupied with my family troubles. Another says, I need to enjoy my own life first. They do not realize that what they are turning down is the very thing their souls are starving for. They choose the temporary over the eternal, and my heart breaks for them. But I am knocking on your door. I am inviting you. You who are thirsty and know that the wells of this world are all dry, come to the living waters. You who are spiritually bankrupt, who know you have nothing of worth to bring, come buy and eat without money and without price. The only price of admission is your own surrender, your willingness to open the door. Today, right now, as you are hearing my voice, is a sacred, pivotal moment in your life. Do not harden your heart. Do not say to yourself, I'll think about it tomorrow. Tomorrow is the word the enemy of your soul loves, because for so many, tomorrow never comes. This quiet decision, in the privacy of your own heart, is the most important decision you will ever make. It is a choice that will echo through all of eternity. The feast is ready. The King is waiting at the door. All that is missing is you. Will you let me in? So now, my child, after all we have discussed, we have arrived at the ultimate crossroad. There are many paths in this life that seem to lead to different places, but in the end, they all merge into one of two final roads. There is no third path. There is no neutral ground where you can stand and observe. There is no way to avoid this choice. You are standing at the point of decision right now, and it is a choice that I, in my sovereignty and my love, set before every human heart. I want you to see the two paths clearly, without illusion or confusion. The first path is the one you have been on. It is the wide road. It is crowded with people, and it seems easy and appealing. It is the path of self-rule, of living as if you are your own God, making your own rules, and seeking your own glory. It is the path of rebellion, whether that rebellion is loud and defiant or quiet and respectable. It may seem like a path of freedom, the one that allows you to do whatever you want. But it is a path that leads you, step by step, further and further away from me. And since I am the source of all life, all love, all light, and all joy, a path leading away from me can only end in the absence of those things. To be eternally separated from me is the natural destination of that road. It is not a punishment I gleefully inflict upon you. It is the tragic, inevitable outcome of a lifetime of choosing a direction that leads away from home. It is a state of being without love, without life, without hope, without peace. It is what the scriptures call the second death. But then there is the other path. This path begins right here, where you are now, at the foot of the cross, in a moment of complete surrender. It is a narrower path, and at first, it may seem more difficult. It requires you to let go of the reins of your own life. It requires you to trust me instead of yourself. It requires faith. But it is a path that does not lead you away from me. It leads you, step by step, ever closer to me. It is a path where you walk not alone but with me. And this path leads to a very different destination. It leads to an eternity of joyful life in my immediate presence. It leads to a home you have always longed for but never known. A place where every tear will be wiped away, every broken thing will be made new, and the joy will be so profound it will make the deepest sorrows of your earthly life seem like a dream. Your life on this earth, which feels so long and all-encompassing to you now, is in the scope of eternity just a vapor. Is a single, fleeting breath. Is the short preface to the real story, which goes on forever. What you choose in this brief preface will determine the entire story of your eternity. Therefore, with all the love in my heart, with the urgency of a father who longs for his child to be safe, I am pleading with you today, choose life. Choose life, so that you and all who come after you may truly, fully, and eternally live. My beloved child, we have traveled a long way in this conversation. We have talked about many hard and difficult things. Our talk began with a stern and startling warning, with words that were meant to shake you to your very core. It is too late for you. I know those words were jarring. They were meant to be. They were the sound of a divine alarm clock, meant to wake you from a deep and dangerous sleep. They were the blast of a trumpet, warning you of the dead-end road you were on. But I cannot end our conversation there. That is not my final word to you. Though I began with the unshakable authority of a king, I will end with the unmistakable embrace of a father. So I want you to listen to my final word, and let it be the word that defines you from this moment on. I want to redefine those frightening words for you one last time, in the light of the cross. If you will only open the door of your heart to me now, if you will only accept the invitation to the feast, then it is indeed too late for you. It is too late for you to be eternally lost. It is too late for your sin and your shame to have the final say over your life. It is too late for your past to disqualify you from my presence. It is too late for the accuser to have any legal claim on your soul. It is too late for death to hold you in its grip. Your rescue has been planned, paid for, and is now, in this moment, being offered to you. Your salvation has been secured. And once you are mine forever. Let this promise be the anchor for your soul. I am absolutely, completely, and eternally convinced that nothing can ever separate you from my love. Not death with its finality, nor life with its struggles. Not the angels in heaven nor the demons of hell. Not your fears about today or your worries about tomorrow. Not any power in the cosmos above or in the earth beneath. Nothing in all of creation will ever be able to separate you from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus, my Son. A new heaven and a new earth are waiting for you. A place with no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain, no more death, but the old order of things will have passed away. A place where I will not be a distant God, but I will dwell with you, and you will be my child, and I will be your God. And I will personally wipe every single tear from your eyes. That is the future I have prepared for you. That is the hope that is being offered to you. So here is my final plea, my final, loving invitation. You have given me this moment. Now give me your life. In exchange, I will give you forever. I have given you my final word of hope, pulling you into my embrace of forever. If this message of rescue has been your lifeline, I now call you to become a lifeline of hope to those still drowning in the darkness I just pulled you from. The urgency of my love that found you now compels you to send this light into the world. You cannot keep this living water for yourself. It is meant to become a river flowing from you. Hear my heart for you. The one who sows this seed of light generously will reap a harvest of light generously, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. Let your gratitude take the form of action. Release your offering now. My child, our conversation is not an ending, it is the beginning. The world will try to pull you back, but the choice you make in this moment must echo. I call you now to make a prophetic declaration, to draw your line in the sand for all of heaven and earth to witness. Go to the space below and write with unshakable conviction, "It is too late for my past. I choose life." Do not hesitate or allow doubt to silence you. Let your type Amen be the thunder that follows the lightning of your decision. Amen. If you believe in me, your Heavenly Father, then like this video and leave a heartfelt Amen in the comments. If you want to stay closer to me, then subscribe to this channel.